You are now stepping to the ledge.
Now recording.
Welcome everybody back to another episode of The Ledge. I am your host Ken Bro, and I am here with 2 out of the 3 panel members today. G Wayne, say what's up to the people.
What's good, people?
The local hero, man. Shout out to the people.
What up, everybody's local hero, aka the Taylor Street Tyrant.
Yeah, and 2 Country unfortunately couldn't make it today. But
Be on face.
Fuck
But
them.
yo, that's crazy. But today we do have a special guest by the name of Christian Dior. Say what's up to the people. Ingratiate yourself.
You better know it. That's right. I'm here. That's right. Had motherfucker.
All designer everything, bitches.
Local activist since 1980.
All
Absolutely.
black
Absolutely.
everything.
Thank y'all for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Man, you're welcome, man. So we got Christian here. First, we did our first interview with a person from Minnesota. Then we shot over to Vegas. Now we back here in the home state of Chicago, Illinois, with another person to interview.
Because Chicago is his own state. We don't give a fuck about Illinois.
Okay, so Chicago.
Yes,
Yeah, so we here to interview him and see what his takes on it. From what I understand, he's been kind of in the thick of things, making moves for him on his own. So, Christian, kind of give us a summary of some of the things you've been going through since this whole thing been kicked off.
So I think it's best to first start with I'm an organizer for the Teamsters Union that's my job, right? So getting out here and working with the people has always been like my, basically passion and everything. What I've noticed, with everything that's going on, man, rewinding, going back to George Floyd's murder, it struck a nerve in me to just kind of work to the side, because of COVID. We was everybody working from the crib and doing their own thing. I had the opportunity to get more involved with a lot of protests, things of that nature, working with organizations like Black Lives Matter and Rage, and just felt the responsibility and the obligation to step up, man, and actually step out.
That's what's up. So, just to give a little backstory, when was the first time you had like the urge to kind of like venture in this type of activism?
I'm gonna see if he gonna say the correct answer because I know the correct answer.
So, can I cuss on this motherfucker?
Yeah, you
What
can
the
cuss on
fuck
this
you mean,
motherfucker.
nigga? We on a motherfucking ledge. This is what we do.
Have you ever listened to our podcast? You don't know how much fucking work we do?
Look, so for me, man, it started when I was a shorty. You know what I mean? I grew up in this city, born and raised. When you start trying to share stories with people about, I don't go too much into how my personal relationships was with police officers growing up as a kid, because it's everybody's fucking story, right? Like that shit happening. It's nothing new for me. So I don't know, man, maybe 15, 16 years old. Not so much my anger or aggression led me to it. It was just what I just knew that it was wrong. And I kind of been just that type of person, that individual that you better off doing something to me than doing something to somebody else. You know what I mean? I've always been a person to stand up for anybody and everybody when I see wrong. So it was an early age for me.
He rallied against the band director, Joe. I know that's not how people looked at it back then, but when you look at that now, that's exactly what that was. He had an uprising. People was on his side. Like, it got thick. You know what I'm saying? It really got thick. Like, it got bad. When I'm talking about bad, motherfuckers like getting kicked out of school and shit. Like, it was getting bad.
Yeah. Dunbar?
Yeah, Dunbar, nigga.
Okay, well, that's just like rallying against the motherfucking CO. You know, I can tell you, Dunbar is the breeding ground for the county. God damn it, can we be honest?
Nigga, fuck you, fuck you.
Well,
Hell
fucking
no.
escalator.
We
The
had
escalator
several
would
police officers come out of Dunbar, nigga.
keep it 100.
Y'all
All you people that
is
ain't from
crazy.
Chicago, pay attention. That I'm being 100.
Yeah, man.
So, next question for you, Mr. Dior. So, say like, because you got a lot of people now that's new to this protest that's going on right now. You know, people that probably never protested at all or ever spoke out in protest. What about this situation right now is encouraging people to do such a thing as far as, protesting and speaking out and different type of stuff like that?
I think right now it's so you got systemic issues, right, against people of color, right, but there's also just this system in general, and I think people are looking at this opportunity now as a chance to fix everything, right. A lot of people are misled to believe that this ends with just some police going to jail and fixing a corrupt police department. It's more than that. You know what I mean? This is bigger than that. It's not going to stop with just that. We're going further after that. You're at this is like the start of the revolution. You know what I mean? And people see that, and I think they're encouraged. I think they're inspired for change. No matter what that looks like, as an organizer, we tell guys it's difficult to change old culture, right? When you're used to something, you're just used to it. The idea of something different is scary as fuck. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know what that is. And the amazing people, the amazing thing about the young people and the older people as well that's getting involved in these protests is that they're okay with facing that fear. And I think that's the beauty behind it. Like, we don't know what the fuck something else looks like, but we know that this shit ain't working.
That's what's
I
up.
got
Hold on one second. So go ahead.
I got kind of a statement, kind of a question. Here's my thing. Now, I'm going off of Seta Shakur, who was a member of the Black Panthers, and I read a book. She said, never in the history of man has an oppressor stopped oppressing simply because they were asked.
Absolutely.
So my question is, we've been marching for over 100 years. In the words of Dick Gregory, our feet are tired. So are you okay with what's happening with with us, just with the looting and the fires and all that, or to a point? What I'm saying, do you think that's necessary?
Absolutely. We wasn't raised by no fucking Vikings, man. We understand that looting and rioting is fucked up, right? But when you're dealing with a people that have done everything else, you basically professionally killed Colin Kaepernick's career because he was trying to just take a fucking knee. You know what I mean? Like, we've tried every single thing possible. The looting and the rioting had its place. And that's, it's hard, especially when you talk to black business owners or there's a lot of black people that are privileged in their own oppression, because you did a little bit better than your parents did. And you probably better off than your sisters, your siblings, whatever the case may be. You don't see outside of your comfort. You know what I mean? So you got, and then rightfully so, again, we know that it's wrong, but it has its place. The riot, there was never going to be enough attention brought to these situations had the rioting not happened. And then it happened across the world. So that gave it a larger platform and a greater voice, right? Where, clearly there's something wrong, and it made the masses like fucking pay attention and wake the fuck up and realize this ain't your regular, resistance. This is something
your
different.
regular scheduled program.
Absolutely.
The revolution will be televised.
All right. To kind of like go off a point that you made in a previous question. You brought in the younger generation, right? I want to know, how do you feel with the response of the younger generation, like stepping up? Like, are you proud? Are you like, was it unexpected that the younger generation would get like this far into it?
I got to say that I'm extremely, first of all, let me say I'm extremely proud of every young black, white, Asian, Hispanic, any young black Any young person that's in this fight right now, I respect and honor the hell out of them. But I knew that they were always capable of that, because if you look at the basically the evolution of education in this country, or access to education, I should say, these kids are able to educate themselves. And the hardest thing right now is to get people that are older, our generation, they won't take it, advantage of that. These kids are educating themselves on policies, legislation, everything. And so they're not just fighting, they're actually, they're not just out there throwing rocks. They actually have a game plan. And I think that's the most amazing fucking thing I've seen out of them, is that they're well organized, they're educated, and they're brave as fuck.
Yeah, that's what's up. I came across a video a while ago. It was this white gentleman, and his video was about Black Wall Street, and he was talking like how he didn't know about Black Wall Street till one of his homies told him about it, and he took the need to like try to get people to look at what happened to Black Wall Street and how people were trying to condemn the rioting, but now he's trying to show them like, what happened to Black Wall Street. I mean, like, what can you compound onto, like, what happened in Black Wall Street versus, what's happening right now?
The difference between Black Wall Street and right now is Black Wall Street was Black owned, right? What we're doing right now is saying, the rioting and everything that's going on is basically saying, so let me take a step back. Protesting was about addressing the issue, right? Bringing the people together first and then addressing the issue. The third step to that was always Black economics, regaining control of our own finances. That's what this is about. And, Black Wall Street was just an example of how demonic and evil this fucking government is, because when Black people control their own shit, then they got a problem with that. What people didn't understand was that it mostly started because local fucking farmers were pissed that these Black people who didn't make as much money as the farmers and everybody around them, the mill workers and all these other motherfuckers, they didn't make more money than them. In fact, they made less, but they took control of their economics. They kept their money within themselves. Pretty much what you see Asians and Arabs and everybody else do today. They were doing that back then. And these local farmers and just, random ass fucking people who felt that white people who felt that they, was living in shit, then couldn't stand to see Black people that fucking wealthy. It's a scary fucking thought that just our ability or our possibility to be self-sustained amongst ourselves is enough for somebody to say, fuck that, bomb they shit, burning down. We're not trying to form a fucking militia. We're not trying to build our own fucking nation within a nation. We're just simply keeping our money within each other. And that's enough to make a motherfucker want to blow shit up.
That is crazy.
I got two opinions on it.
Go ahead.
Number one, I think, in my opinion, the worst thing that could happen to Black people was segregation. And I'm going to say that because when we didn't have segregation, we had to deal with each other. Our money stayed in the community. Our money went through the community 13 times before it left the fucking community. Like the Jews.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the Jews say they call us liquid money, because it just runs right through our hands. They don't even stay in our community. Not even one time. Now, number two, if we were to do a Black Wall Street again, we have to have a militia. We got to be prepared to protect that.
Absolutely.
Because And then when I went to the Museum of African American History, the Smithsonian, and I saw the whole story, because I thought they just came and bombed that shit. That ain't what happened. So what happened was a Black dude, he was an elevator. This white woman worked there, because they let white people work there. And this Black dude got on the elevator with her. She said that he made a pass at her. She went and told all the white people he made a pass at her. Of course, she mad because she ain't getting no money. So they came there. They came there to try to lynch him. Black people said, fuck no. They killed two of them motherfuckers. The third one, there was three of them. They killed two of them motherfuckers. The third one went back, told his other boys. They came in. They had their own police force and all that shit. So they realized, okay, we can't just run in there and do this shit because they have guns. That's when they bombed the shit. And then that's when they went in after the shit was on fire. And that's when they started doing all that bullshit. Like they have a postcard. They have a postcard of Black Wall Street burning. It was a postcard. You could buy the postcard. It's on fire, and you got white people smiling in front of the motherfucker, and it was an actual postcard. That's crazy. So if we was to do something like that, you have to be prepared to protect your shit.
Absolutely. And on that, just to piggyback off of that, I encourage every eligible person to obtain a FOIA card and obtain a goddamn firearm and protect themselves and their families as well.
If you ain't a criminal, you should have one. If you're a criminal, shit, you already got one. So, do what you gotta do, man.
Damn right.
You know what I'm tired of seeing these videos with these Karens, and here's my thing. A lot of these people let these Karens talk too much, man. Look, that one female that beat that broad ass in Arizona, I was proud of her, but I was like, she took too long for that shit. Yeah. She called like 2 times. She said, call me another one. You shouldn't have said call. You should have hit her ass the second time.
Off the first one.
And then when they beat their ass, though, everybody want to sit there and say, oh, well, it's enough. She's down. I actually put some, this guy posted up there, and I put a post up there from our podcast. I said, we not only do we encourage this, we applaud it. The only thing we had a problem with was she took too long. You already know what white boy says, so it's okay for her to beat down a victim like that. I say, yeah, that sounded about white. She's a victim. Okay. Yeah. That's mighty white of you. She's the victim. I don't think this shit happened in the 90s like that because in major cities, because they knew. Right now with Trump in office, they feel comfortable with this shit.
Well, that's
uncomfortable again.
Yeah, and that's the whole problem.
Sure idea. America uncomfortable again.
That's the whole problem. A lot of people don't see. I had black people to actually tell me flat out that they believe this president to be more of an opportunist than a racist. And I can see that. But at the end of the day, your rhetoric is riling up a race war. And
that's the opportunist in them.
That's the opportunist in them. But at the same token, you kind of have to be a racist to ignite to do that, right? To do that consciously, continuously. You have to be somewhat of a fucking racist. And we know this man's history with, the real estate lawsuits that he had for denying people of color residency and things of that nature. Like, this ain't no person that we don't know has an issue with black people or people of color in general, for that matter. But when you sit in that position and you're the chief commander of this beautiful fucking country, and you spew that type of shit out of your mouth, you have to be held accountable for that. I believe it was, I can't remember this gentleman's name. He was a white supremacist. He would get out and speak in public forums, and nobody had shit to say at all. They were, saying, he was protected under the First Amendment, right? All this other shit. And it was all fucking good until he encouraged a young white man to go and kill the basketball coach for Northwestern University. That man was held responsible for that. I think last name was Hale. He was held responsible. They found him guilty for this young white man's actions. Why is the president not held to the same standards? I believe it's 360 hate crimes committed by these leftists. Not leftists? What is the name of this fucking group, bro?
Conservatives.
It's this right wing the Tiki Torch motherfuckers, basically. I forgot what they call their fucking selves, but that organization is y'all motherfuckers are responsible for over 360 fucking hate crimes. Led by or motivated by, I should say, this fucking president. Those crimes are on your head. He should be held responsible.
He's never going to be held responsible because that would embarrass the office of the president of the United States. That's why Nixon didn't go to jail, even though he's found guilty. He got a pardon.
Listen, that motherfucker he embarrassed the chair when he got in that motherfucker with that fucked up ass wig on his head.
Look, they had an article with Trump and what's it, 88, 89, and he said that if I wanted to be president, I'll run for Republican. I'll run in the Republican Party because I'll just say whatever I want to say, and they're dumb enough to believe it. And
he's dumb enough to believe it. Yep.
He showed that it's true. And I don't think, here's the thing, Trump hates anybody poor. I don't think it's just black people. If you can make him money, he gonna fuck with you. Yeah. I just think he hates black people. I think he dislikes black people more because I think a lot of these dudes feel inferior to the black man. Let's be honest.
I mean, if you want to, if we gonna tell the truth, it all boils down to the fact y'all got little dicks.
I believe
I was gonna say it, but I knew Chris was gonna take it home for me.
I believe when he saw Trump when he saw Obama in office, he's like, look at this smooth ass motherfucker. I hate him. And Ivanka was like, ooh, look at him. Ivanka wanted to fuck him. So he said, I'm gonna be president.
It's sad that that hate that's rooted out there, it embedded in this this whole country, it comes from something simply fucking stupid as shit, right? Like you just inadequacy. You because you feel inadequate to another human being. Well, let's oppress them. Let's try our best to keep them underneath us at all costs. It's the sickest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life.
They know that we're the original man, and they know that they came from us, and they hate that fact. So they try to. That's why they came out all these. Well, we're better. They want to do all these experiments. If you looked in the 1800s, they had them dresses with the back popped out. They was trying to copy black women. They didn't want us in the baseball league because they saw the Negro league was fucking way better than them. They said we can't let them in there and embarrass us. Same thing with basketball. Same thing with baseball. Same thing with basketball. Same thing with football. They knew that we were built better than most of them.
My uncle told me this story back in the day. Gee, you remember Uncle Tahern, man? God rest his soul to the legend. So he's like, did you know that a home run wasn't never hit until a black man swung a bat? I said, what? He was like, yeah, the first home run ever hit was made by a black man. The motherfucking white boys were so fucking confused they didn't know what the fuck to do. They told him to keep running around the bases until we find the ball. I don't know that story to be true.
We're gonna look that research guy on that. We're gonna look that
up. We can just go use Facebook fact checkers.
Fact checkers, man. Here's my question. Okay, so Chris, here's my question for you.
Yeah.
Do you find it hard to get information out on Facebook with what they've been doing to black people? Like they've been fucking like silencing us. They've been like killing our live feed when we at protests. They've been doing all this shit. Like, do you find it harder to get information out on Facebook?
I think at this point with the manipulation of media and just, people having their own agendas, I think the only way you can actually get information out is one-on-ones, face-to-face, like actually town hall meetings and things like that. You can't really trust any outlets right now. The silencing of us, that shit happens a lot. I've seen it just over the past couple of protests that I've been to where what happened?
I'm definitely a victim.
No doubt.
Just canceled on me.
I think the only way you can, kind of get around that, man, is to just, build your own forum, some kind of in a different way, like you guys are doing right now with the ledge. Like, you know what I'm saying? You have to create those spaces to get real information out, factual shit out there. You know what I mean? We can't rely, even though those are great tools, we can't really rely on social media to be non-biased.
So, and I asked this last week, in one of our episodes, how do you think Facebook is on its last legs? Do you think Facebook, with all these businesses pulling out of Facebook and everybody protesting Facebook, do you think Facebook is either going to change or they're going to try to restructure where they save themselves? Or what do you think about that?
Facebook is like the Denny's of fucking social media. They're never going any fuck. Everybody's going to want to fucking Monte Cristo and the motherfucking two.
I'm going to tell you this. Regardless of what the answer to this question is, they just lost $56 million in revenue over the past week. There will be some type of change.
70 in the next week. 70 in the next week because Coca-Cola
and then who was it I sent you earlier today? I
don't think that's going to be.
He's the Cadbury bunny of fuck. Fuck.
I highly doubt this going to help you remember though.
So it's because I had to remember that while also researching the history of Ross Barnes, supposed to be the guy that
Starbucks pulled out.
Now Starbucks, yeah, they run crazy ads. But the person that runs the most ads in the world on Facebook has pulled out what you already said. It's actually Coke. Coke actually runs more ads than anybody in the world on Facebook. I actually remember learning that a while ago.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely, dropping off, but the position that Mark Zuckerberg put that company in, it's going to be hard for them to dissolve overnight like that. You know what I'm saying? That business. Yeah, I can see maybe 10 years from now, 5-10 years from now, it is being something else to replace it, but that's a monster, man. It's like Amazon, man. That thing is a monster.
Because it was crazy. Remember, we were just on MySpace, and MySpace just disappeared on our ass.
That motherfucker disappeared like Meigs Field, goddammit. Just overnight, that motherfucker was gone.
Yeah.
Tom ain't got no friends no more, man. What happened to homeboy Tom? Shout out to Tom. Tom, if you listening, I still fuck with you.
You can't fuck with him too hard. You not on MySpace no more.
I'm gonna get on MySpace just to say hi to Tom.
Man.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I got another question for you. Now, what do you think about No Name trying to cancel everybody, man?
Say that again?
What do you think about No Name trying to cancel everybody? Because now she want to cancel Jay-Z. She went at Beyonce, but they got on her, so she kind of took that tweet off. She's trying to cancel fucking J. Cole and fucking Kendrick Lamar.
I mean, you just talking about a miserable ass fucking person, bro. Like, and this is what they do, right? Like when they, I want to say threaten, but that ain't even the word. When they see anybody that just they feel can, the fear is like uniting. When they see people, the amounts of people that follow these people, right? You think about a J. Cole and how many people that he can actually enlighten and pull together. That shit bothers them, and I think she's just a tool to be out here to like fucking, just dismantle that whole that whole just idea of unifying people. Like Jay is next.
He's attacking motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying?
You're just attacking people, but you're attacking them because of their platform and how powerful they can, you know what I mean? Unification of any culture of people other than us is accepted, right? The unification of the Asian community, the unification of Mexicans, the unification of Jewish people, Jewish Americans. Like everybody, it's okay for everybody to come together except for us.
That Willie Lynch syndrome.
Absolutely.
That shit is crazy.
Because here's my question. I've never heard, and I don't know this. I'm just going to say, for me, I've never heard her do anything. But J. Cole, to me, that song Snow on the Bluff was not a diss. He was saying, let me know your platform. Where are you coming from?
Where are you coming from? Exactly.
Yeah, he didn't really diss her. He said, she's saying stuff about me, but where is she coming from? I saw J. Cole march. My man said he was marching with J. Cole.
Yeah.
Kendrick is marching. Hove paid for Freddie Gray funeral. Hove bailed them boys out in Baltimore when they smashed that police car. He bailed him out and got him a lawyer. He helped George Floyd family get a lawyer. He gave them that lawyer. So I'm like, you're dissing people who are actually doing something, but what are you doing?
Not a damn thing. She's an instrument. She's an instrument for, this system, bro.
And so we're gonna put in the Candace Owens line of thinking.
Gee, let me tell you about Candace Owens, okay? Can we talk about Candace?
Besides especially like a big toe, what you got to say?
This motherfucker is probably the worst human being ever. And I mean that completely. I've never seen a person in my life get up and actually just spew so much Dixie shit out of her fucking mouth ever, bro. Like, I'm like, how fucked up can you be, man? And the sad part is she has points, but you are not speaking. Those issues that you talk about, when she runs down the main things that is affecting Black America, she said, number one, absence of fathers. Number two, the illiteracy rate. You're right. But you have exactly. If you cannot connect those issues directly to your oppressor, which is this fucking government, then something is wrong with you. Those things are directly connected to the very fucking system you're under. You're sitting here saying that we need to focus on these issues first. What does that do? If we can sit up and fix all of the black issues we want to. It does not change white supremacy. It does not change the country that you live in. The country that you're fixing all the household issues with Black America does not change the structural system that Black America lives under.
Because a lot of people don't understand when you go for child support. Here's the thing: if a woman gets Section 8, you can't live in a house with her, or they kick her out. If she's on any type of benefits, if she doesn't file for fucking child support, they won't supply her. You know what I'm saying? I remember sitting in court. I remember sitting there, and they sitting there with me, and they's like, "Well, you got to pay this. You got to pay." I said, "Cool, but what does she pay?" And they was stumped. They was stumped with that. What do you mean? I said, "Okay, well, I could pay my half. You said this half 50-50, right? Well, I could pay my half, but if she can't pay her half, what happens?" What do you mean? If I can't pay my half, I'll go to jail. But if she can't pay her half, what happens? We don't know what you mean. You know what the fuck I mean. You're not going to give me the kid because I'm a man. I'm a black male, so you're not going to give me the kid. That's the first thing that's going to happen. But you're going to put her in all this shit. And if you give her public assistance, I have to pay for the public assistance she's getting. I remember my baby mother calling me and said, "Well, I'm not getting anything." I said, "Well, that's on you. Because I showed her my check stub. This is what I'm paying. I'm not getting that." I said, "Yeah, because you took public assistance. So they're taking out the taxes on that."
Right.
At this point in time, she's making equal to me. But since she took out that public assistance, they still taking taxes out for that.
Right.
And what a lot of women don't understand, it's easier to work with the man than to go to court.
Listen,
because when I was giving her money, I was giving her more money than she was making off child support. But she wanted to listen to her bum ass friends and go to child support.
Yeah, it's I had a situation where my daughter's mother was tinkering around the idea of taking me through child support. And at the time, I was making decent money. But my biggest thing was exactly what you just said. Once you get a court involved, they stay involved. So if this is the process you want to go through, when we decided that we were done, I went my own way, and she never had to ask me for child support. Right, like I was giving you $500 a month on my own, no strings attached, no court order, anything.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's one of the most important things that, you were absolutely right. People need to understand, like, one, grow the fuck up. Two, amicably come together and decide what's best for the child, right? And work together. If you can work together, man, right now, she's probably one of my best friends. You know what I mean? We have no real issues at all, man. And it was because we were able. You get bitter as fuck when you start hearing these lawyers and shit talk across the table and to this judge. Like, bitch, you really finna. I'm gonna throw an egg at your goofy ass the next time I see you out in public. Like, you really finna sit here and try to let this lawyer paint, because that's all it is. And one of my friends who went through the process, he was like, "Listen, man, because I was thinking about getting his attorney. He was able to get custody of his son. And I was thinking about using his attorney. He's like, "Well, how bad do you hate the bitch?" I said, "What?" He said, "How bad do you hate the bitch? Because this lawyer finna make her sound like the worst bitch that ever walked planet Earth." I was like, "Oh, hell no." That's the process. You know what I mean? Like, that, you ain't even really got harsh feelings towards this person, but because that scumbag ass lawyer over there trying to make you look like Uncle Luke's evil twin or some shit, like you ready to bust a motherfucking head when y'all come out the courtroom.
And that's what she didn't understand. I had a lawyer that was going to fucking destroy her, and I was like, no, because she's not a bad mother. She's not a bad person.
Absolutely.
She's listening to horrible people.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's the crazy and shit. And that's like the crazy part about a lot of this stuff. Why mess your situation up because you listening to crazy people? If your situation is well off, like you said, you was giving her $500 a month off GP because you was taking care of your shit. Why even entertain? The crazy shit. Like, I got the father of my child is doing his part without even being forced. Why do I need to go through all that?
Because you can get more. That's why. Because you can get more. If you want Girl, how much he make? Nah, girl, I guarantee you can get more.
Yeah.
That's
I used to
how.
give
All of
I
that
used to take
bullshit be happening. Bro.
I used to take my check and I'd give it up because I was doing my thing on the side. So I give it a whole check. I said, okay, here's what you got left over. I was like, I don't give a fuck about that. I was getting money on the side. I didn't give a fuck about that. You take it. Then when she realized when she went to court, you ain't making that money no more. Now she got upset. Like, damn, hold on. What? I said, that's your fault. I told you we could talk this out as adults. And I think the government really and that's another part of white supremacy. That's why there's no fathers in the house, because the government tears you the fuck apart from whoever you was with. Like when we had a kid, I didn't hate her. I didn't hate her after the kid. I didn't hate her after the split. I never hated her. But the government sit there and they say, whoa, what is he doing for you? Oh, well, that's not enough. We could do that. And what she understand in Illinois, they take taxes out that shit.
Yeah.
She didn't understand that. So not only am I paying what you took out in government assistance, they taking taxes out that shit. So you're not even getting the whole thing. So what they taking away, she might get like, fuck. When they done, she might get $234.
Wow.
Like you was making more than that when you was dealing with me.
Nigga,
so why would you do that?
Nigga, child support for black people is the biggest Ponzi scheme in the fucking world. Because all it does is teach the children the same fucking thing. It's like this repeated fucking kind of cycle, right? Where when my mother put my daddy on child support and I ain't have to do this, she ain't have to do this, she ain't have to do that, and blah, 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 blah. We lived comfortably. It's a learned fucking process and a learned behavior, and it keeps repeating itself.
And the trick that part, my mother told her, she's like, why would you take me to child support and you getting the money? Like, she never took my father for child support. She was like, you're getting the money. You're not going to get that much money because they're going to take out taxes. You're not understanding that. She's like, no, I got to go. She said, no, you don't have to go. When they go up there and they pull you in front of them and say, you don't know who the father is, you still going to get the same money that you're getting now. So why would you fuck that up?
Yeah.
She said, it's not fair. No, you can get more. You can get more. You can get more. She wound up getting less. And that's what I think we need to do. We need to get a round table. We need to get a round table with the men and the women, and we need to discuss our issues. Like, look, I remember my uncle sat there when he was going to child support. He stood in front of the court and said, I don't need no motherfucking cracker to tell me how to take care of my kids. I'm there. I'm taking care of them. Women need to talk to the person. If he's if he's a deadbeat, first of all, you should know he's a deadbeat, because a motherfucker don't just become a deadbeat. They show you that they're deadbeats. But if he's a motherfucker that's giving you money and he working and he doing what he's supposed to do, the fuck you need the government? No, we don't need the government. We good. We're going to work something out. We good with what we doing right here. And I think that black men, I think that if they put us in the same room and allow us to talk to each other, you can come to a fucking conclusion a lot quicker than you can in court.
Yeah.
Without having to pay that fucking court fee, because that court fee is a bitch too.
Yeah. Why include a middleman when you can go straight to the source? Because when you put a middleman in there, you lose money.
The realest shit I ever heard, this white dude was in child support. And she's talking about how much he makes. She's like, I want $800 a month for one kid. He said, absolutely not. He said, here's what I'm going to do. White dude said this. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you $500 a month. You're going to take it and you're going to be happy. Or else I'm going to get my lawyer in here and you're not getting shit. I'm going to take the kid and you're not getting shit. and the mediator's like, wait a minute, you can't say that. She was like, you know what? Yeah, that's okay. That works for me. I'm like, yeah. That's when that money get to talk. The loan money get to talking. Like,
and unfortunately, that's historically, that's the position of this country. Like, they only respond to violence and money. If you got money in this motherfucker, you can do whatever the hell you want to. Good luck with any woman trying to fight for custody of a child against a man that's got millions of fucking dollars. You be lucky to get visitation.
So you gotta check this out. I had his opinion about Sammy the Bull, but they had an interview with Sammy the Bull, and he's talking about how the government works, and he said the realest shit ever. He was like, when you look at these black guys, Italians. He's like, we're all from like poor neighborhoods. So when you get us there and you put us with this public defender who's a fucking jag off, he said, I remember guys come to me and said, what should I do? I said, wait till the end, wait till it's about to go to court and take the bid. He said, because these guys aren't going to defend you. He's like, I didn't want to tell them that if you fight it, you're going to jail for life. He was like, but that's how the system works. He's like, they created RICO just to lock us up. But on the other hand, on the flip side of that, none of the politicians get RICO. And they do the same shit we do.
Every day.
Yeah. Yeah, they made a law just to lock us up.
Yeah. So back to the whole protest thing. Like we asked,
I mean,
like we
all this is white supremacy, y'all. Don't
yeah.
make it so that we get off. All
No,
this is white
I'm
supremacy.
not trying to say anything like
I'm just
that.
saying this.
I'm just
No,
saying,
I'm saying this for the. I'm saying this for the audience because the audience, a lot of the audience, if they're white, they're not going to understand this. But all this is systematic racism that
it's
was built to destroy
it's
not only the
it,
black man but the
it's
black
like the
family.
inception inside the inception. But from what far as I know, with all the protesting and stuff, this got to be like the longest, this whole process has been. Just like we asked the other two guests that we had, I'm gonna ask you the same question. What do you think it's gonna take for all of this to be over with?
So you got two different schools of thought out here, right? One is the absolute removal of police in society, right? You have people that honestly believe that we can police ourselves. We're capable of, respecting the law, things of that nature. Then you have the other school of thought, which is we don't need as many police officers. They don't need as much artillery, and they need to also be certified by the state. I don't see any of this stopping into one of those two things I met. I really don't. There's no way in here. This is the most that this is the most power and leverage any movement has ever, any resistance has ever had, right? When you have people in Japan, London, all over the world, people are protesting and standing up against these bullshit ass fucking governments. Nothing's gonna stop. The protest will keep going. We're gonna march until we get what the fuck we're looking. Like I said, one of those two schools of thoughts. And then you have to think past those issues. You have Palestinians for, I believe it's Palestinians for African Americans, I believe is the organization. You have allies out here with other issues. Like the fight continues, right? Because once we solve our issues, we have to address the issues of our allies also. Okay, now what are y'all? And that protest is going to start, and those protests are going to keep. Like I believe this is going to happen until this government takes real consideration into restructuring the Constitution of the United States of America.
Can I piggyback on that?
Yeah, you can go ahead. Go ahead, hero.
With the way that this system works, that's not going to work. The problem is when it comes to voting, we have to pick the lesser of two evils. You picking the lesser of two evils is still evil. You want me to pick either Trump, who's an outright racist, or you want me to pick Biden, who's a closet racist? They're still racist. So what we need to do as our own people, we need to create our own party. That's what we need to do.
I mean, voting. I would never say that voting doesn't get shit done, but in what we facing right now, it's probably last on the list. Yeah. By the way, make sure we get a person of our interest in that. But the thing of that is that you won't be able to completely do that because of the system itself, right? When we had Barack Obama, God bless that man. I truly believe he was one of the greatest presidents of our time. But Jackie at the Robinson. Same time, that man has a lot of blood in his file, right? He's on record for actually assassinating a fucking U.S. citizen. And then on top, the drone attack. And he actually had an opportunity. If this president didn't show you anything, he showed you that Obama could have did a lot more. Executive orders, the process of an executive order is phenomenal. And it was the one thing that he did. And I think he did it intentionally to show people, black people specifically, that your president could have did whatever the fuck he wanted to. He played ball and got in there.
I'm so glad you said that because so many people hide behind it. I'm so glad you said that. I'm so glad you. Let me tell you my problem with Obama. I'm going to tell you my problem with Obama. Under Obama, more black people were killed by police than were lynched in the height of the Willie Lynch South.
Damn.
That's a statistical fact. So he's telling us that he can't do nothing about it. And here's my thing. I'm not saying defund the police, but I'm saying is you could take away federal funding from the police. Like, okay, if you're not going to cooperate and do what you're supposed to do, we're not going to support you. Now you just got to do what you got to do with your own money. And the second part of that is when you sit here and when you look at these cops, a lot of these cops shouldn't be patrolling. If you're not from that, I'm not gonna say that neighborhood because that might be a bad combination, but if you're not from that environment, you shouldn't be patrolling that area. Statistically, 21% of people only have to deal with cops. What's our percentage in the population? 13%. So only 21% of Americans have interaction with cops. We need to do like the Chinese. The Chinese don't give a fuck who the president is. You know what they do? They vote for their alderman that's going to control their area.
Exactly. And that's the process of how you're supposed to govern, right? The village is supposed to govern itself. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and that spreads out into the country itself. With defunding, you brought up defunding. With defunding is like, when you look at Chicago, for example, right? And my numbers might be a little off, but you have a $1.5 billion budget for the police department. Our city's budget is made up, 40% of it is made up specifically for funding the police. You have a $1.5 billion fucking budget for these guys because they've been operating for the last 3 years without a contract, right? So you're trying to back pay these motherfuckers for 3 years and give them another, I believe, 8-year contract or whatever the fuck it may be. Then on top of that, you built a $95 million police academy. Like, we're saying not just for no other reason at all. There are underprivileged fucking communities all over this fucking city that money should be going to. You have, again, going back to the school of thoughts, some people don't honestly believe that the police should be, reduced in any kind of number or whatever. All we saying is that's too much fucking money to be given to a fucking police department. And if Chicago is at that number, New York is at that number, LA is at that number, this is what is generated like around the fucking country. You are militarizing and giving money to a fucking corrupt ass fucking department. And you're okay with it. You're okay with your school struggling. You're okay with your communities being. I drove through my old neighborhood, and there was still some gaps and blocks that was like, damn. I went through 51st and Calumet, where there was literally 12 buildings erected on either side of the street. There were 14 vacant lots. You know what I mean? It's like, but you giving money. You're throwing money at these fucking police departments, throwing it at them. But you got all of these other issues going, and it's just a backwards mindset. But that's the government. What people don't understand is that that's what this government has to do because they're doing their bidding. The police are doing all they killing for them. You know what I mean? Everybody was so always, they're gonna bring in the National Guard. They're going, well, you gonna have a hell of a time trying to convince any real soldier out there, and G former military, he'll attest to this. Any former military out there, any military out there active, you're gonna have a hard time convincing that soldier to carry out an order to shoot and kill a U.S. citizen because they are trained to protect those very same people.
That's why they left D.C. They honestly, the National Guard left D.C. They said, this is not our job. Our job is to protect these people, not to shoot these people. So
now, who do you think that they can convince?
The police officer.
Local police departments. This is why they're highly funded. This is why they're so promoted, because they're doing the bidding of these weak, simple-minded ass motherfuckers.
That they're really getting hush money in so many words.
They are getting paid to do exactly what this government wants them to do. Yeah, to promote fear, first of all, right? There's this analogy called escape from freedom, right? If you scare a motherfucker enough, they'll pay any amount of money to feel protected. And that's where they got these white folks at. All white folks, I keep telling people, we don't occupy this space by ourselves. We have to learn how to live together and get along and move forward as a society. But if you scare this white rich motherfucker enough, he will give anything to feel protected, regardless of whether or not that means the police are violating someone else's civil rights. Just to make this person feel safe, they don't give a fuck about your rights.
I'm gonna take it a step further than that. I don't even think that's what it is. You know what I think? When you go back in the history of this shit, what did all the white people do? They moved to the suburbs because it was quieter, and they worked in the city. Everything's in the city. So now they want to come back to the city. So what do? You can't move in the city and pay property tax, the property value that they want. So you create violence. You send the cops out there. I'm thinking a lot of these cops are starting a lot of these crimes, and it brings the property value down. So now I don't have to pay you what the property is worth because the property value ain't shit. Like I remember the corner store on Roosevelt and fucking Racine. We had a guy there. It was called A1. A-Mart was like, I'm not selling my shit. He wouldn't sell his shit for nothing because they was putting in University Village there. He not selling his shit for nothing. They came there every week. We'll give you $1 million. Fuck no. We'll give you 2. No. We'll give you 3. No. They finally got to 5. He said no. They said, okay, here's what we gonna do. We gonna send a motherfucking inspector in here every week, and he gonna fine you every week until you sell this motherfucker. And they convinced him of selling it. So then when they go to the old black people, if you own a property that's worth, let's say 500,000, and they trying to lowball you with 250, you gonna say, fuck no, I know what my property worth. So how do you get that property value down? You call some violence. So now your shit go from 500,000, now your shit for 400. Hey, we'll give you 300. No. Okay, cool. Start some more shit. Now your shit at 300. We'll give you 200. No. Okay, cool. They start some more shit. Now your shit is at fucking 150. Look, we're going to give you 100,000. That's how they force motherfuckers to sell. You create violence to bring down the property value because there's no way in fuck you can sit here and tell me that all this shit is happening without the cops being involved in this shit. They've had videos. They had videos of these motherfuckers dumping guns in the hood.
What about what was that? Wansler? That motherfucker, that was the whole point of the itis. So he can get Meadowlark Park or some shit. Wasn't that the whole point of that? So he could bring black people to a neighborhood, create a bad environment just so he can lower the property value so they could be forced to sell it and he could get it as cheap as rate because he was trying to buy something they wouldn't let him buy.
Exactly. So why the fuck would you move a motherfucker from K-Town and dump him in Motown? Start some shit. You can move a motherfucker from K-Town. You can move him anywhere on the west side and he might be good. But you want to dump him in motherfucking Motown.
It's like a double whammy. 1, you from the west side. 2,
that's what I think. That's my personal opinion. I don't know if it's true. That's what I'm seeing. Like, are y'all not seeing that? Like they dumping vice lords in the village.
I mean, and that's the process. That's a whole nother thing, right? Is elevating our brothers and sisters. Like, you know, I'm not finna sit up here and act like I was no saint when I was a kid, but you know, it's unfortunate that you still got brothers out here above 30, clenching on to whatever affiliation as if that means something.
If you ain't got a block, you losing.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's like we got to start caring about ourselves a little bit more. And the biggest thing that I see right now with us as a people, and one of the things is being a roadblock for advancement and progression of any movement that we making right now, is that motherfuckers scared to love each other, man. You know what I mean? Like, as a people, we're actually afraid to love each other. I don't care what your affiliation is, bro. You moving from any neighborhood into my hood, your affiliation don't mean shit to me. You know what I mean? Like, who are you as a person? You know what I mean? What are your morals? What are your standards? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all that matters to me. I don't care because we didn't been through that life. What does it matter? You know, we have to teach each other that, and we have to care for each other enough to understand that it don't matter what his affiliation is. If this man ain't did nothing wrong, ain't did nothing to hurt nobody or hurt you, harm you in any kind of way, why we got this thing where, you know, you have to earn somebody's respect. Nah, my respect is given naturally. You already have my respect. You can lose my respect.
When you get cool with niggas from oppositions, and like when before you knew this nigga might have been in opposition, you respected each other as a man first. Like I remember getting cool with motherfuckers had no idea that they were stones. You know what I'm saying? I had no idea. You found out later on. It's like, what you gonna say now? No, nigga, fuck you. Like I had a chick. I mean, I never forget the chick hollering at me, everything. You know what I'm saying? We exchanging numbers and shit. And Keith walk up like, hey, what up, G? Woo, 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 woo. And shake my hand. And Shorty was like, wait. As soon as Keith walk off, she talking to me and Pierre Hill. She like, wait, hold up. Y'all GD? She was like, oh, damn, I can't talk to y'all. Like, she left the party. She was like, oh, I can't talk to y'all. It's like, damn. It was like that. You know what I'm saying?
And people still have that mindset to this day, bro. And it's like, I can agree with you. And it's possible. That's a possible scenario, right? But at the end of the day, we have to be more responsible for our own actions and our own fucking mindsets to know that shit shouldn't matter. You know what I mean? Like,
it's the problem. And thank goodness, like I said, I went to a black grammar school with black teachers that taught me shit. We're poison. There's a book out there, and I read this book, and I love this book. It's called Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys. This is about black kids going to elementary school, and they say how when you get to like, and I noticed this shit too, like when you get to like 6th or 7th grade, they stop telling you your history. They start feeding you all this bullshit about white history. And the only thing they tell you is that you were slaves. They don't tell you shit that happened before slavery. They tell you what happened during slavery and a little bit after slavery. And they teach you about certain people. They teach you about, and don't get me wrong, I like Martin Luther King, but they teach you about the Dorsal people. They don't teach you about fucking like the Deacons of Defense. They don't teach you about the Black Panthers. They don't teach you about all these other organizations that actually like the
brother Marcus Garvey.
They don't teach you none of that. Yeah, they don't teach you none of that. So what they do is they feed that to you. And then they start like from the 5th grade, and anybody who's listening, you should read this book. From the 5th grade on up, they start dumbing down your history. And then they teach you, because naturally, we're naturally competitive people. So then they start teaching you, like even if you look in Hollywood, like with comedians, they only pick one. A lot of them was talking about this shit. You only get one comedian. Like when Cat Williams fell off, who jumped in? You fucking Kevin Hart jumped in because they only pick one. So now you're in a competitive nature where you're like, I got to get on. I got to get on. I got to get paid. I got to get paid. So we don't have the opportunity, and they don't treat us like when you look at white people, how they're taught, oh yeah, we're friends. We're brothers. We can both get on. They don't teach us that.
Yeah.
They teach us the competition. One of you guys got to be better than the other. Even when it comes, if you listen to our music, we're rap music. Everybody want to be king, but that's because we're taught that it's a competition. You have to be better than everybody else around you, including the white person, and that's what messes us up. They don't say you don't have to be equal. You can't be as good as Jay-Z and be a king. You have to be better. You see what I'm saying? You can't be as good as Eminem. You have to be better.
I totally disagree with that. I think that applies more to the females in rap, and that's actually based off of something that Shauna said in the interview some years ago. You know, she was like, the question had something to do with Nicki Minaj, and her whole thing was, I see what you're doing. You know, you're trying to pit us against each other, you know, this, that, and the other. She said, but I ain't about to go for it. Her whole thing was, it's always multiple kings in rap. You can hear Ludacris say he the king. You can hear M say it. You can hear Jay say it. You can hear 50 say it. You can hear Big say it. She said, but with women, only one of them can be at the top at one time. It can only be one queen all the time. Like that doesn't apply as well in rap to males because all of them do say they the king. You know what I'm saying?
Was no king in New York.
No, I'm talking about in
king of New York. Oh, okay. I was like, because Big was the king of New York until he died. And that's when Jay-Z starts saying I'm the king. And that's when Jay-Z, 50 thought Jay-Z fell off and he said he the king. And that, I mean, it's not like they're saying they're the king at the same time.
No.
They're king.
What she's explaining is a lot of them say that they the king at the same time. A lot of them say that they're the best rapper. So many people say that they're the best rapper ever or the best rapper alive. But if a female said, it all boils down to who? One. And only one female can be at that hierarchy at a time. And that's the issue. That is the issue.
But my general talk was like of anything. Like, okay, so like say we're both in the office, right? And you know this, G, you work in the office climate. You have, and especially with me, I work with all white dudes. I have to be better than most of them white guys there for them motherfuckers to accept me.
See, I don't have to be better. I just have to be more dominant and clever.
I mean, but it's still like you can't be equal to. You have to shine harder than them. Is what I'm saying. You don't have that option where you go, okay, I'm as equal to. You know, you have to just shine harder.
We don't have no white techs that work with us.
I do, and yeah, you got to shine harder. I remember telling a white boy, white dude said something to me. I said, look, dude, I could do your job. You can't do my job. Because I'm in the front now. I do the front of the shit. This white dude said, I said, look, man, I could do your job. You can't do my job. Because you're not as good as me.
I gotta shine harder at my job because mine is different. Like they went to school to do what they're doing. And I didn't. They got real knowledge and training. I'm the dude that came in off the street that knew how to do what they was doing because I was doing it at home. So when they come down to it and you looking at the books, they all got educational background. They got certifications. They got everything. And I don't. But I know and I work there and I do what they do. And I'm in a position that they in.
I know.
So that's the reason I have to shine harder.
And this is what Chris, Ken, all y'all. I was raised to think, and this is just me. I was raised to think that whatever I do, I'm the best at. Is it just me?
No. Well, that goes back to what you was talking about with that was the countering of what the systemic racism school system that we was brought up in. Our parents had to raise us that way, right? Because they knew that they were raised broken. And they were raised, so that was a part. Hell yeah, my mother told me every day, you strive to be the best. You keep your head up, your chest out, walk proud.
I mean, dude, we was in a competing nature. We was in a drum section. Yeah, it was constant competing because you was trying to be section leader, and that's what it was. Everybody was trying to be section leader. So I mean, it's crazy that we all spanned out. I used to play cymbals with Chris. You know what I'm saying? But I couldn't keep up with Chris. Plus, I knew I was supposed to be on quads. So, you know what I'm saying? Everything spanned out the way it was supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? I ended up being where I was supposed to be. But yeah, that competitive nature, battling it out all the fucking time, every day. That's all we did.
And this shit goes back to the block. When you sitting on the block and you getting your grind on, you like, yo, whenever you grind it, I'm not saying that I did it. Whenever you grind it and you got your shit, you like, yo, my shit better than that shit. Yo, come holler at me. You know what I'm saying? We got boulders for them shoulders. We got rocks for the block, so we better than them, man. They shit ain't yellow, man. Holler at us. That's just how the game is, man. Like it's
me and Chris, we used to compete rapping. Me and Keith used to compete with money and clothes. Me and fucking Enoch used to compete fucking on the quads. Nigga, that's what it was. Like, that's what it was.
But that's the problem, though. And imagine if we step back and we said,
but it's not necessarily the problem. When steel sharpens steel, bro. The competitive nature is to not to stay on. It's not so much for me to reign; it's for me to stay sharp.
Yeah, but that's the problem, though. But a lot of us,
wrong with being competitive.
You three. I'm gonna say you three. Y'all, when you come up, you will bring people with you. But the problem is, not everybody is built like that. Everybody wants to stay on top.
Yeah. So I mean, like basically, what you're saying is, it's just basically how people use your competitive nature against you. You know, there's some people that take their competitive nature and they use it for them and to better their situation and others and all that type of shit. But then you have like an outside entity, say like the dude that was working with Eazy-E, the white guy. He used his nature. Yeah, he used his nature to control him and push the other guys away so he can keep making money off the guy. So that's what you're talking about as far as using using your shit against you. Like we need to take our own, competitive nature and our own self-worth and use it for ourselves and not let others use it against us.
That's what I'm talking about. Can't put it in the words right there. That's what I was getting at. Like, because if you look, like if you look at Jay-Z brought a lot of motherfucking he made a lot of millionaires. We'd be 100. But it's motherfuckers like
whether people see it or not.
Yeah, it's a lot of these young motherfuckers who now the record company is using their competitive nature against everybody. Like, no, you don't want to bring him with you. Go ahead and make this money. Like we take, what's the motherfucking name? YNW Melly.
Yeah.
So we got a show about him too. He definitely coming out. But
Oh
yeah,
man,
he was like the company used him. Yo, he could rap too, man. Yo, you might want to get rid of him, or you know what I'm saying? That's how the game goes. Like, yo, you the king. You the top. You the fucking alpha. You the alpha male. Don't. And the difference between my definition of alpha male is not somebody who's on top and holds the top. It's somebody who's on top and pull people up.
Yeah.
That's an alpha male. If you're not helping your pack achieve greatness, you like Styles P said, I never saw a fake nigga make nobody great. That's real. That's real. If you're not trying to pull your crew up, like, yo, we got to get the fuck out the situation. Then that's how you know what I'm saying? That's the problem is they let the middleman come in and say, yo, you don't need them.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, that's again, I put fault and blame on us, right? You have to be able to see that shit. Look how much we've been through, right? As a people, as a fucking people, look how much we've been through. Now, that's one thing. Some will argue that why is it I heard this, what was he? I can't remember. This dude was like fucking Asian or some shit, right? And he's like, why haven't black people just, had an uprise yet? Like, what's taking y'all so long? You know what I mean? You would have people that would say, like, in all this time, we should have been just said, fuck it. We all just either gonna die or we gonna kill these motherfuckers. But it is also the issue of why haven't we just stopped allowing people to dupe us so many motherfucking times? We've been through enough to be able to say, nah, nigga, I see that bullshit you on. Fuck you, and just keep moving. You know what I mean? Like it's like you can't keep saying that the system and the brainwashing and the mentality. At some point, you have to own. Like right now, today, the four of us on this podcast right now can actually say, no, a motherfucker couldn't come to me and do that. Now, what's so different from us than others?
But you know what happens though? Is it not like if you look at the Native American tribes, the original ones who were dark skinned, if you look at like the Mexicans, if you look where we were raised, like if a white person comes to an African village, they welcome that person. Oh, you're a stranger. Hey, how you doing? We welcome you and we invite you in and we feed you and we teach you because that's what we are. We're teachers. And what happened is the European culture was not, they don't have that in their brain. Like, this is what I don't understand. Like when people say, now don't get me wrong, I believe that there's a lot of millionaires, they have like-minded situations where they work with each other, but they don't fuck with each other like that. A white man they don't even respect it. Like white people have boundary, like their country has a fucking like boundary, like, hey, don't bring your ass over here or we gonna fuck you up. You know what I'm saying? That's where we learned that shit from, because tribes were able to come together like, hey, let's come together. Like the Native American, let's smoke this peace pipe. You come in the African tribe, hey, yo, thank you for coming out. They had a celebration. We started taking on the European traits, and I think that's what fucked us
up. I mean, yeah, you can argue that. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you talking about like, again, with the access to information, the access to real history, the access to the truth. You know what I mean? For lack of a better word, like you have that. You have right now today. You know what I'm saying? I get it. A stain is a stain, but you can soak that motherfucker out. And I believe that right now we are everything. Is a teachable moment. This is the most teachable moment ever. The fact that you got guys still jumping in the studio, and I'm not knocking art. I love it, but the fact that I want to acknowledge the young brother, Lil Baby, for putting that song out. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you should be doing. This is that opportunity. I don't want to hear none of this bullshit. If you still out here talking that bullshit in these songs in this day and time, what we're going through, I don't give a fuck. I don't want to hear it. You have just failed completely off. These are teachable moments. These are the times for us to come together and say, this is when you snatch a motherfucker up that kind of really don't understand our history and everything. A black guy I'm speaking of that don't know his own history and don't know, this is when we start teaching each other. This is the time. We can't keep using what a motherfucker did to us years ago and say, this is why we can't. We have to stop using that as an excuse And we have to stop acknowledging what Master did to us. We already know what the fuck he did to us. How do we fix it?
This right now, and I agree with you, it's perfect time because we in quarantine, there's no school. So if you're a black parent, you need to teach your kid black fucking history. Even if you go on YouTube and find them documentaries, you should be teaching him black history. If you're a white woman, white man, and you have a mixed child, and you love that child, you should be teaching them black history. Because if you don't, they're going to go to school and they're going to get taught that they're less than. It ain't the fact that black people don't like to learn. It's the fact that we went to school and it was bullshit and we just didn't want to hear that shit. A lot of kids, here's my thing. Like I said, I had the blessing of being in an all black grammar school. So I learned black history from kindergarten on up to 8th grade. I didn't see a white teacher till I got to high school. And then they started teaching me the history. I say, yo, well, what about this person? What about that person? And they didn't even know what the fuck. They didn't know who the fuck I was talking about. Even the African Americans, I had an African American history class. They didn't know none of the motherfuckers I was talking about. I said, how you don't know this person? Yeah. What America need to understand is that nobody loves this country as much as black people. We love this country enough where we're 51% of the military and you kill us and we still go fight for this country. We love this country enough where the first person to die in a Revolutionary War was a black man, Crispus Attucks. And we love this country enough where we're the biggest export in this country. Rap music sells more than Chevys, Fords, Chryslers.
That's crazy.
We're the biggest export in this country.
Yeah.
And it's like they don't,
and we don't own that. You know what I mean? Like this is, there's this thing again, going back to the purpose of a protest, right? Mm-hmm. It all falls back. I heard a brother say once, it is both unethical and un-American for us to continue to be met with violence and not return in kind.
Exactly.
The only two things that this fucking country give a fuck about is violence and money. That's the only thing it reacts to.
I'm glad we put this on YouTube because that's what got my other page canceled when I said that.
But it's facts, right?
I said it 2 years ago. Only thing America understands is loss of property and loss of lives.
And until we can establish, and I totally agree with you 100%, brother. We have if we're able to rebuild a black metropolis and a black Wall Street, we have to build a militia or a military to be able to protect it as well. Because that's what they react to. It, you know what I'm saying? Like that music industry is probably the worst fucking thing I've ever seen. I've never seen modern day slavery that fucking advertised in my life. In my shout out to the God. But y'all at the end of the day,
y'all still signing deals for real,
man. Come on! Like these motherfuckers are out here pimping the shit out of y'all, and it's a sad fucking state of affairs because it don't just stop with the white people doing it to us. You got guys like Baby out here doing it's like the black people do it to their own. Like, damn, your master got you so whipped that you whipping your own. After he done whipping your ass, you ask him for the whip so you can go down there and whip some more motherfuckers yourself.
There's no way 6ix9ine should be number one and Lil Baby isn't.
Jesus Christ. Don't even start with 6ix9ine. I don't knock no motherfucking body at all, right? He made a statement that I kind of agree with. Like, if y'all had all these motherfuckers trying to kill you, kidnapping you, and all this other crazy shit, you would snitch on their ass too. I was like, yeah, maybe.
No, I wouldn't.
But
here's my disagreement. If you sign up for the street, you sign up on G shit because he's supposed to be in the G, then all that shit comes with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but that dude just need to, take your microphone, set it on fire, burn it to ashes, take those ashes, put it in a Ziploc bag, take that Ziploc bag, put it in a vault, take that vault and dump that motherfucker in Lake Erie and never search for it ever again.
And if it's in Lake Erie, if it's in the Ohio part, that shit polluted as fuck, so you can set it on fire in the river.
Wow, he is just trash, bro.
but here's my, and I agree with that. But here's my thing, like a lot of these, it's just how we raising these kids, man. Because a lot of these young dudes, like if you look at what's that motherfucker, Kodak Black, Master P tried to tell him, he tried to put him under his wing, like, look, bro, you don't need a record company, you can do this shit on your own. Yeah. He didn't want to listen to P. Like motherfuckers be trying to give you like gems, and motherfuckers just don't. They're so infatuated with the little bit of paper because they broke. A little bit of paper the white labels give them, they be like, okay, yeah, we're gonna ride out with that, and they don't pay attention.
Yeah, but see that goes back to the mentality, right, that we've been given. And again, being able to, you have to. That's a young dude. That's I mean, you know what I mean. Like he's gonna have some bullheadedness about him just naturally, right, for just being a young man. But coming from where he come from, you have to be able to take a little bit more time to reprogram those ways of thinking, like to get rid of some of these ways of thinking. That's not impossible. You know what I mean? Like that's a very attainable thing. But we have to take the time, and we have to take. I give a lot of shit to my brother because he's one of those individuals where, like, he'll never stop trying with a person. Me, I'm more of the, listen, I'm on the front line. I'm out here fighting this shit. So I can't keep coming. I can't hold your hand and teach you to shake that shit off. I'm going to give you what you need to shake that shit off. And it's up to you from there. I got to get back on the front line. We are at war. And that's what people have to understand. You have to drop all of this other shit and understand where we are as a people. We are at war. We are fighting for our very fucking rights and freedoms to exist. You have to understand that is that. Your money, all that shit don't matter if you're dead. You can be out here doing whatever the fuck you want to do. It doesn't mean shit if these motherfuckers, because one thing's for sure, if we don't win this fight, you thought black people were oppressed. You thought we had it bad. If we don't win this shit, what comes next is going to be way worse than anything our great ancestors have ever seen. It never goes, from, fighting and resisting, losing that battle, and things just go back. No, it's going to go back to, it's not going to go back to the same. It's going to go back to worse. And that's what people don't understand. Like, you have to wake the fuck up, shake that mentality. And, like, again, like a guy like me, I really don't have the patience for it. But those brothers that's out there, that's willing to sit with these young guys, meet with them on a day-to-day basis and try to correct some of the shit that's been instilled in their minds, God bless them. But if you have that capability, you have that obligation. If you have that capability and that opportunity, is your obligation to help change and remold those young minds into leaders in another direction. Kodak is a leader, bro. He's just misguided. They've already, contaminated him. But that's a leader. That fearlessness in him, that comes from ancestry, bro. People don't understand. Back, like Africans were not defensive people. As a nation, we were all like, when they trained warriors, the warriors were separated from the tribes. It took a process to bitter them and make them harden like that. Naturally, we are a welcoming people. You know what I'm saying? Like, that boy come from one of them Shaka tribes. He is a warrior. He is a fucking warrior. He has no fear in him at all. But again, the system misguided the fuck out of this young man. You see black people as the enemy. And I'm not saying white people are your enemy. Anybody that's trying to oppress you is your fucking enemy. My mom said a long time ago, every white person ain't against you and every black person ain't for you. You have to be able to decipher through the two.
I saw a lot of graham crackers out there.
Yo, I got a motherfucking question. This goes to Chris and anybody else that's been paying attention today. There are still protests and shit going on around this country, right?
It's in DC, big one. This happened in DC.
Okay. I think we lost news coverage because I'm looking at every single news outlet on YouTube right now, and they have changed they totally changed the narrative. Everything is about kids being killed. This is ridiculous. Like, they totally changed the narrative now. So they're ripping down Black Lives Matter. They're not showing any protests. They're not showing any cops making any arrests anymore. Right now, all I see is them outside of them ripping down Black Lives Matter, talking about that they out to take your house and they want to tear your government down and all of that. They only talking about kids being killed. Like even with Chicago, all of the people got killed. They only bringing up the teenagers and the kids that got killed. They have totally changed the narrative. So this is
Young Turks.
This is fucked.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the media spin. We have to educate our people also on media, how it works against us. There's a difference between seeing two images completely full and then seeing two images that are edited, right? You have to understand. And then when they show you a certain image and they say certain things, I forget what there's a science behind it. I forget what it's called, but you see it used in college football where you'll have these signs. You'll see assistant coaches throwing these signs up. That's a science, right? The media is fucking at this point right now, bro.
Dog whistle politics, because that's what this is. It's called dog whistle politics.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's like you're training people to see things the way you want them to see them. Yeah, and we have to be able to.
They're using very key words to trigger people.
Exactly. Yes, and we have to teach our people and each other the power of that tool and how it works. That this is designed this way to make you feel this way. They're always going to have a platform or a capability to change the narrative when they're the only source. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to be able to get out there and that's a whole nother thing, bro. Breaking that fucking media fucking power structure. If you can get in that motherfucker and do that, that's 50% of the fucking battle right there.
Here's my thing. Coming from Chicago and I'm over here now. Every time something happens, people are like, what's going on in Chicago? And I have to explain to them. It's over 3 million people in Chicago. Now, as harsh as this going to sound, if you go percentage-wise, Chicago isn't that violent. There's a lot of cities, percentage-wise, it's more violent than Chicago. St. Louis, Pittsburgh, Detroit. But since we're a big city, they're going to focus on us. Yeah. Especially since mentioned
our numbers are clearly going to be higher because we're probably 6 times larger than fucking St. Louis and 10 times larger than Jackson, Mississippi.
Crime is committed in proximity. This is what got me on Facebook jail. So this guy was sitting there, well, we worried about the cops killing each other. What about black on black crime? And I put up a statistic. White people are killing each other in the same rate that we're killing each other. The only difference is when white people kill each other, it's called crime. When black people kill each other, it's black on black crime. You don't mention black on black crime when it comes to police killings, because if I kill somebody, I'm going to jail instantly. I don't get a 9-month fucking investigation where I get to sit home and get administrative leave, and I get to sit there and the police and the union still steps up and say, "Oh, this was just for." That ain't what happens. Right. So if you sit there and you're using that black on black crime, use a fucking coon. And apparently, if you say somebody's a coon, you get a strike on Facebook.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there is. I'm not going to try to, try to like downplay it. Like, no, we definitely have to address the issues amongst ourselves. Like, but what people don't understand. I mean, it's more to your point than going against it. What people don't understand is like those are village issues. And that's the responsibility that we have to put back on each other. You had that. I wish we lived in a society where when those two young black men that were shot and killed by the 19-year-old brother, I wish that we lived in a society where he would have to turn himself in to the elders of the community, and the elders of the community would convene whatever type of shit. Same way that the Indians are able to govern themselves, right? I think we should be able to do that as well. Like I wish we had a system in place that young brother would turn himself into the elders, and the elders would then decide what his fate would be. You know what I mean?
If you still over there in the Middle East, they chop off your fucking hands. But
Hey,
you go through a fair trial before they do that. If you do anything here, I guarantee you're gonna get an all white jury.
yeah,
And you don't
yeah.
have to try to
It's
explain yourself to white
unfortunate,
people.
but my point is that as a community, we have to
Mhm.
hold each other accountable. That's not.
I
You
agree.
have so many people out here right now, and I'm probably going to touch on some sensitive shit. But you have so many people right now attacking Black Lives Matter for saying, like, y'all only come out when it's a cop killing a black person. Where y'all at when these black people kill? That's not for this organization is designed to fight a bigger battle. Those situations, not saying that black on black crime in our communities ain't fucked up, but those need to be addressed and handled for the most part by the community. If y'all were more together, those situations probably wouldn't fucking happen to begin with. But they damn sure can be. Y'all all know who the fuck this little kid is. He's not some random ass kid that just so happenly one day decided he's gonna walk through. That little boy lived in that neighborhood. He been in that neighborhood all his life. Y'all know who he is. The stop snitching, kind of era and culture. That shit is dead. How can you sit up here and condone?
Go
Go
I'm not
ahead.
gonna say that because the cops want us to snitch, but they don't snitch.
Oh yeah, the
That
code of
is
silence is like that's what they go by. Let's be clear. CPD operates every fucking police department in this fucking country operates as a fucking gang.
My thing is, I was listening to a hitman, and he said, "They said, how could they have stopped you from?" He killed, I think, 12 people. They said, "How could they stop you from doing this?" He said, "How they could have stopped me was when I was younger. Somebody could have came to me and actually fucking taught me something." He's like, when I went to school, all the teachers gave up on me. They kicked me out of school. They sent me here. They sent me there. They sent me to boot camp. They sent me this. So I think if it all starts with education and opportunity. If we had a better education and a better knowledge of self, we wouldn't be going through all this shit.
Oh no, you'll still be going through it, but you'd be better prepared to deal with it.
It wouldn't be as bad as it is.
Absolutely. And again, bro, like
It's still gonna be crime.
The things that we have to understand is that we are responsible for us. Accountability. We want police officers to be held accountable, and we want accountability placed on them. The same has to be for us. It has to go both fucking ways, or none of this shit works at all. You want them motherfuckers held accountable for their actions, but you know damn well that your grandson is out here fucking up, killing and shooting and doing all this other shit, but you don't have the tough love to turn that little motherfucker in, or, you know what I'm saying, try to straighten them out. This is the problem with, and again, like it's this, me and G had the conversation the other day. This homophobic ass, this fear of being gay and all this other shit in our community. Those are still your brothers and sisters. You're treating them the same way these motherfuckers are treating you.
I don't give a fuck if you're gay.
Like that shit. It's like we have to unify. We have to come the fuck together first. Then we can fix all these other issues. But as long as you living in a fucking community, the most you ever do is wave at your neighbor. You ain't never really had a conversation with them. You don't even know like I know people that live on blocks. They don't even know 20% of the people that live on that same block.
True.
I got a question. I got a question for you. When it comes to Black Lives Matter, here's my question. Me and G have been looking, and we're trying to find where the fuck is the money going?
And listen, that's a very valuable question, right? But in the middle of the war, are you gonna ask a motherfucker where he got his boots from?
Now, I'm gonna ask where the money going. I'm gonna tell you why I ask where the money going. Because if you look at NAACP, if you look at the Black Panthers, if you look at any other organization besides Rainbow Push, they take that money and they pump it into the neighborhood. They create fucking job centers. They create daycare centers, and that's what we need. So I need to find where is the money going.
No, it's a great fucking question, bro. But right now, we can address that shit. But right now, where we're at, this pivotal ass fucking moment we're in right now, I'm not worried about where the money going right now. Let's continue this fucking fight. We got that conversation later.
We're gonna have that conversation later. But there's
you know what I mean? Because I agree. If you've raised Black Lives Matter has raised over $100 million.
Yes,
they have. There is no, to my knowledge, there's no. They do use a lot of that money for lawyers. They pay for lawyers. They pay for people to get out of prison or whatever. You know what I mean? Like a couple of situations. But for the most part, yeah, there is no real receipt for where that money is actually going to. So yeah, that's a conversation. But right now, they're put the pressure that they've applied.
They're bringing attention to it.
Yeah, the pressure and the heat that they've applied, bro. Like, let's win this fight first, and then let's see what your finances are, and let's make sure that money goes to where it's supposed to go, because y'all supposedly are a nonprofit organization. So,
because I am a member of the BLA, the Black Liberation Army, and like in Jersey and here as well, I've done a couple things, but in Jersey they have like back to school shit where we give out book bags, we give out all this stuff, and not only that, we're marching and all that stuff. But my thing is, when it's all said and done, we have to, because the government isn't going to do it. We have to create our own shit. We have to create job centers where we can teach people. There's a lot of people. Everybody knows this. How many non-violent jail offenders are in jail as Black? How many people who didn't actually do the crime are sitting in jail? And they've been sitting there since like the early 90s, 80s. So when they come out of jail, what they going to do? They don't know how to use a computer. They don't know how to use these new smartphones. They can't get a job. And here's the tripped out part. When they're in jail, they work for AT&T. When they get out, they can't get a job with AT&T. I think that all the organizations, every organization, should try to change that. Yeah. They should try to get
I have an uncle that was wrongly convicted and sentenced to 93 years in jail. Jesse Smith. Mm-hmm. Sitting there, and right now to this day, he's been a candidate for the Innocence Project.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to the ACLU.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
if you Black, and I'm gonna tell you this right now, if you Black, they have a app for ACLU. Whatever state you're in, you put that in, and when you record what these cops are doing, it automatically goes to the ACLU. So, like, if they're treating you bad, when you're recording it, it links to the app and it sends it directly to them. So you should, if you Black, you should definitely have that on your phone.
Absolutely. But yeah, like there's things that definitely that $100 million that Black Lives Matter has accumulated can definitely go to. Again, I feel like that is another thing to distract. I think that was thrown out there by, these fucking conservatives and everything to try to, they're using us against us. You know what I mean? Like anything that they can do to put a wedge in between us, that's what they're gonna do.
Usual warfare.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You know what I mean? When you throwing out there, this organization doesn't have a headquarters. Well, shit. Neither does the motherfucking that could be the same for anybody. You know what I mean? Like there's plenty of fucking organizations out here without a headquarters. What the fuck does that matter? Like they're using whatever the fuck they can to try to make it like to deter people from being a part of it, or like I don't 100% agree with everything that Black Lives Matter's agendas are, but I understand the general cause and the general purpose, and I can support that. The enemy of my enemy is my ally.
Yeah, and from what I can see so far, they pretty much driving the bus in the right direction. So,
yeah, I mean, there are questions, right?
Yeah.
But look at what they're doing. Look at what they're achieving. This type of pressure that they've had, I don't think it would have happened with any other organization. And so many other organizations out there. Here we go with this jealousy, right? And this idea of like, well, we doing the same thing. We've been doing it longer. Does that fucking matter? What's more important, your recognition or the cause?
No.
What's
more important, the people or you being acknowledged?
You might as well get this attention while it's here. No matter who fucking got the attention, we have the attention. So do what you need to do.
I got a question for you. And G said this, and Ken said this, and I was like, yeah, you're right. Where are the Black leaders?
Ooh. So what you want me to start there, fella? Because this here is gonna be a deep knife and a long cut.
Where's the black leaders? Where's the black leaders? We all
So
know. We all know.
here's my
We all
problem,
know.
right?
We know Messy Jesse. Unless it's a camera, he not getting on. We all know fucking Al Snitch Sharpton ain't gonna say shit unless the camera's on. But who do we have right now? Khalid Muhammad is dead. If you look at Minister Farrakhan told you this shit was gonna happen, so he's sitting back like, okay, let's wait and see how this shit play out. But like,
yeah,
who are the leaders right now? Besides, and I shout out to LeBron James because he's been speaking on it for years. But like, where are the actual leaders?
I honestly gotta say, bro, there are leaders out there that are still doing things, people that are speaking out. At the same time, I really honestly feel like your quote unquote leaders are scarcely protecting their bottom lines.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like, they're out there, but they are not going to say as much as you got brothers like Kyrie. Kyrie made a statement about starting their own fucking league, and you had Stephen, you had guys like Stephen A that wanted to attack him and all this other stupid shit. Like, they're out there, but they have to be very careful. This is a very fragile, brittle ass fucking time. At the same damn token, we are our own leaders. This world, this whole situation is our platform. We're our own leaders. Community activists are like stepping up everywhere out of the blue. These sisters, the shout out to black women and their courage and their fucking just will, like, to just keep this thing going. Like, there are a ton of black women out here that are stepping up, and they're stepping into those leadership roles. One person that I gotta say, man, never meet your heroes, bro. Never meet your heroes. But I'm gonna say this: there's an individual who used to play basketball, and he's probably one of the greatest athletes of all time. And this individual has a sneaker out there that people buy over and over and over again. He most recently gave $100 million to an organization that was all about the cause, right? But that $100 million he probably could have gave 15 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, it literally was an attempt to save his brand. So I really can't really honestly accept we don't take it because we need it. But at the end of the day, fuck you.
The flip side of that, and I know people are gonna get mad at me, Michael. That guy had the opportunity. I remember they were talking about the story. It was North Carolina.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It was the racist. They had the racist governor. And they had a brother running against him.
He was a grand wizard, to be exact.
Yeah. His mother said, could you just take a picture with this guy just to endorse him? And that's when he said the famous line, Republicans buy sneakers too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. And that's not lost all respect for that man outside the court.
Yeah. Never meet your heroes.
Shout out to LeBron. Shout out to LeBron.
Absolutely.
Who got his own. You know who don't get enough credit though as well? And I'm going to send a shout out to him. Jalen Rose has his own school as well. But he's sending people to college. Shout out to Jalen Rose, man.
Shout out to Jay.
Holding it down.
But when we sit here and when we talk about all these people, like, and they talk about these people ain't doing this, we don't know what these people are doing behind the scenes. Like, we know what Jay-Z and Beyonce doing behind the scenes because they letting you know, hey, we doing this, we doing that. But like, we don't know. A lot of people don't know that Jalen Rose does that.
Yeah.
They don't know he has his own school.
And Jalen gets so much shit because he's married to a white woman, and that
again, don't make a difference.
It don't matter. You know what I mean? Like, it really don't matter.
That white woman is not going to be getting killed.
People don't understand that.
Same thing with Dave Chappelle.
They think that we're aligned with or our purpose and our cause and everything. They hear our anger and they think that it's hate. This ain't about hate. This is out of love. We don't hate you. Every protest that I've been to, if I arrived early enough to, see where the police officers are staged, I walk through, I say, good morning, respectfully, good morning. Y'all be safe. Blah, blah. I'm saying it with my defund the police mask on, but it's not out of hate. This is out of love. You know what I'm saying? And so many people don't understand that. Like, if you're black and you're fighting this fight and you feel that fuck all white people is your that's your base, that's your fuel, then you are in the wrong fight. You might as well be on their side, because this is not what we're about. This is not what any of this is about.
I'm gonna tell you what killed me. I was driving home from work.
What if you
every
start
day.
feeling like that in the process?
Say that again.
What if you start feeling like that in the process, though?
I mean, it's natural. Like, okay, I'm not finna sit here and say that a person who has, let's say that there's a person that's only had negative experience with white people. It's hard for me to express that to that person, right? Because this is his reality. This is what he's dealt with. But at the end of the day, that's hate. That's the same energy. You putting that energy out there is the same thing that you're trying to fight. So you're going to live with that. That energy doesn't die off with, getting rid of your enemy. That energy is going to stay with you. You're going to have that forever. You're going to have that hate forever. And that's what we're fighting. We're not fighting white people. We're not fighting. We're fighting hate. Period.
The simplest terms is, if you dated a bitch who cheated on you, you can't hold it against every woman you ever meet.
Facts.
That's just her.
Facts.
I met it when I was driving home every day from work. It's this white boy. No lie, getting on the 495 in Silver Springs. It's this white boy. Every day he has a Black Lives Matter fucking billboard honk for Black Lives Matter. He has a black glove. He throw up the right fist, and I'm like, yo, I love, man. So you understand, like, it's a lot of white people that's and here's the thing: if they're trying to create a race war, this is where they would lose at. There's a lot of white people that's on our side.
I mean, it's been that way for like since the beginning, right? When you talk about
a lot of whites, a lot
slavery,
of Asians, a lot of
and when we first got to this country,
Jim Brown was a white boy.
Who that?
Jim Brown. He was a white boy. He got if you ever go to Harper's Ferry, you definitely got to go to his museum. Check out my video on the gentleman.
Shameless plug.
But no, he was an abolitionist, and he had he gathered all these guns, and he had his farm, and he went out and he gave these black people guns. He said, yo, it's time to defend yourself. We done with racism. He got hung for that. And when he got hung, he looked up and he smiled while they was hanging him. So it's not, all white people aren't against us.
No, not at all. It's been that way for a very long fucking time, man. And that's what you have to understand. Your allies are there. They're not just there for their own personal gain and no shit like that. You have to understand there are people that are fighting with you. And let me say this.
They're actually risking more.
Black folks got to step the fuck up, because you're absolutely right. Our white allies are harder on this fight than a lot of our blacks. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're out here risking their jobs. They're risking their livelihoods to support and say, hey, look, Black lives fucking matter. That's a whole nother thing, man. Like, you can't want something. One thing that I learned that applies when, in every stage you go through in life, you should be able to take something and apply it for the rest of your life. One of the things that I learned in being an organizer is you can't want it more for somebody than they want it for themselves. And that's what it looks like being on the opposite side, when it's almost a slap in the face to our allies, white, Asian, Indian, whatever. It's almost a slap in the face when they stand out there fighting Black Lives Matter hard as hell, like pushing for every legislation they possibly can think of to pass so that there's equality amongst us. It's a slap in the face when you turn around and have 100 and something shootings and 3-year-old black little babies are being killed. That's a slap in the face. Like, I'm sitting out here on the front line fighting hard as hell while y'all sitting up here. That's the issue. That's a whole nother fucking, you know what I mean? Like, you have to be able to separate this shit in your head and understand. Like, if I was in the street still, man, look, me and your shit on pause, bro. There's some other shit going on. If we got to get back at it, we gonna get back at it. But right now, me and your shit on pause. I'm finna go out here and help these motherfuckers and fight this motherfucking police department or fight, you know what I mean? Whatever power structure. People have to stop and realize where we are right now. Our great grandparents were never close to, equality than we are right now today.
And that goes back to the question, as far which should get applied to that we asked about the protest. That goes back to what the gangs have become. Is there any more leaders left in that world?
They all in jail.
In which one?
In the gang. In the gang world.
So you got to take that back to early 90s. Me and G was, we was pretty much old enough at that time to understand the full capacity of that situation, right? When they believed that taking gang leaders and throwing them in jail, the story of Larry Hoover, they pulled him out of his cell, took him all the way out of the fucking penitentiary and rearrested him. When they believed that taking these leaders off the streets permanently for good, like lock them up for life, they thought that they would have control. And maybe they did. Maybe all of this was a part of their plan. Maybe they knew that locking these motherfuckers up would be just, chaos. And I honestly believe that could be pretty much what they were trying to do. But
you know how they knew that? Because they've done it before. When they take a drug kingpin off the street, what happens? It creates a fucking vacuum with violence. When you take a dictator out, what happens? It creates when they took Saddam Hussein out, that fucking country became unstable as shit.
Yeah, absolutely. So it very well could have been a part of their design. The thing is that they was able to sell black people on it. You know what I mean? Like so many black people were in support of getting these gangs, but you went from controlled chaos to just chaos. Now you're terrorized in your own fucking neighborhoods. The shit that's out here, I had a motherfucker going down the street talking about, he yelling across the street at another motherfucker. I guess they was arguing and he got to yelling, so icy bitch, so icy nigga, so icy gang. So icy gang? I'm lost. Somebody help me. What is the so icies? Where's the SIs in the building? I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about? Come to find out, they actually gangster disciples. I'm like, yeah, but it's so cliquey. It's so it reminds me so much of the East Coast. Big up to New York and everything. Love y'all out there. But part of the New York culture was like these small cliques. They didn't really have a lot of huge gang organizations. They had and that's what you're seeing right now in Chicago. Almost, they still have gang nation affiliations, but they've reduced themselves to these smaller factions, right? Like
the difference between the East Coast and me living on the East Coast and the Midwest is when we look at the East Coast gangs. The East Coast gangs just took the West Coast shit and ran with it. Like when I be telling motherfuckers, yo, we don't do that shit. We don't do colors. Ain't no Bloods or Crips out there. What? Yeah, it's not. That don't exist. No, I can wear whatever the fuck color I want to wear. What? How do you identify yourself? We identify ourselves with hat sides. What?
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah,
they just and a lot of West Coast motherfuckers. I talk to a lot of West Coast. They don't respect that East Coast Bloods or East Coast Crips because they just took their name and they ran with it. They didn't actually I was telling a motherfucker here, and he was like, man, he's like, yeah, I'm GD. I said, from where? Oh, from Southeast DC? He's like, yeah. I said, how? Oh, man, yeah, you know what my man put me on. I said, okay, yeah, that's cool, but how? You can't be a G if you ain't go to the land. How does that work?
Yeah, nah.
That doesn't work. Even like King in New York. When you're like King in New York, you have to come to Chicago.
It's sad that we don't have you know what I mean? That was structure, right? When I was a kid, my father wasn't around. You know what I mean? And I kind of not for nothing, I attached to an organization, mostly because it was through my entire family, but also it's like it gave you structure. It gave, you know what I'm saying? When you coming up as a young man, that is important as shit to understand, how to carry yourself.
Yeah. And
it's sad that today none of these organizations out here have anybody that in my opinion, and I could be wrong, and I'm definitely not trying to judge these young motherfuckers because they emotional and you can get shot behind that. But I feel like more or less there's nobody that's ever gonna rise up as another Larry Hoover or David Barksdale or shit, even a Fred Hampton or a Huey P. Newton or anybody that can be, relevant in that particular area and lead these young men towards another direction. You know what I mean? You had the BLACKs back in the day, which almost damn near gave the foundation for every organization established in Chicago. They were basically just off of the Black Panthers, and they were about community. They were about, so
it's conservative.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like you have to really question. At this point, it's like almost, man, yeah. Like now, if y'all want to lock all these motherfuckers up now, I probably would be for it because there's no leaders there no more. They're not teaching anybody anything. This is cutthroat, just violent. There's nothing there. It's just dissolved into just recklessness.
But we can blame it on the original Daily, Father Daily. Because
we could blame it on a lot of motherfuckers.
So a lot of them conservatives and them Black Peace Stones, they were getting grants. And again, they started educational programs and all that. They feeding the kids and everything. And, as racist as Daley was, he didn't want Black people having that type of money from the government. Yeah. He made it his number one priority to take their ass down. And once you get the leaders off the street who has the ear of the young people, they gonna wild out because now everybody wants to be the leader. They didn't follow his teaching; they saw that he had power.
Yeah, they just and that's the again, that's the slave mentality. Basically reimagined. It just repeats itself. Sadly enough, man, it's just we can't see each other. We can't see each other the way we want to see ourselves. Like we want to see ourselves elevated, but we can't see each other in the same light.
That is just
gotta be Illuminati if a nigga's shining. The whole thing. And this, what? That's a true statement because if you look, let's be honest, we all know Hov self-made. Like he did that shit himself. But since he came up, everybody like he's with Illuminati. Now it's different between us and white people. Jay-Z's Illuminati. Kanye West Illuminati. No white people say that shit about Bill Gates.
Right.
Even though Bill Gates is doing some really unsavory shit, but you never hear a white person say, "Oh yeah, he came up because he's Illuminati." Steve Jobs is Illuminati. They never say that. That's another thing that's been put toward our people to try to downgrade the achievements that we make. Let's be honest.
It's the slave mentality, bro. If he made it, there's something to it.
Yeah, if it's Illuminati, let's be honest. Why the fuck don't fuck with a Black person?
It's not unlikely to them that a Bill Gates would become fucking second, third, or at that time the richest man in the world and shit. That's not far fetched for them.
Yeah.
But to see Jay-Z come up out of the hood and do that, what Chris say, what is a 1 in gazillion chance or some shit for that type of shit to actually happen in real life? It did. But yeah, it's one, and he's the only one of its kind. So then you see Kanye do it in a totally different fashion. Yeah, of course he's got to be Illuminati because he doesn't deserve to be a billionaire, right? Yeah,
Dr. Dre too.
I'll tell you, Dr. Dre. Yeah, he became one because he had to deal with a white guy who was in Illuminati. Yeah, I mean, of course,
right. Like our success has to be attached with some sacrificial bullshit to a white person, some subservient. We only made it because of white man. And listen, I'm not at that level. I don't know how many. I wouldn't be able to say what deals that man made to get to where he is. But at this point, he probably would have been exposed for it. And you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's possible. But it's again going back to that mentality. We have this idea in our mind, bro, that we allow these motherfuckers to convince us that we ain't shit. And I cannot continue to subscribe to that type of mindset. Like, we are the best things that ever happened to this planet. Black people being here gave life to every fucking thing else. Like, there is no life on this fucking planet without us. We are the original people. Don't let a motherfucker ever try to take that from you.
I was watching a documentary on YouTube when they were talking about how the South American and the Sub-Saharan Africans, like we never mixed with the Neanderthal. It was just the Europeans that mixed with them. So we didn't originally, without us being here, because we got white blood in us. Without us being here, we would have never mixed with them. And he's talking about how the Neanderthal, how their genes were faulty. That's why they don't have pigmentation in them. That's why they can't stay in the sun. That's why and it was a white guy telling this shit. All this shit that's happening. And that's what Heavy believed is like white people had to believe that they're superior. That's why they came out with all these experiments and all this shit. Because in their head, a lot of these racist motherfuckers cannot accept the fact that they came from a black ancestor.
Yeah, I mean, the again, like we was talking about with the root of all this shit, bro, it's embedded behind something petty as fuck. You know what I mean? Like it all stems from something simple and stupid as fuck. Being able to get out here, man, and just, speak truth to power, bro. Like I don't even want to expose you for all the shit that you've done. I want your ways to end. That's it. That's all. We can if we had to go back and really have a real conversation about history, right? White people would not want to sit in that room. Like the Italians right now out in the East, over in the East Coast right now, defending all the Christopher Columbus statues, right? You motherfuckers are really lost. Y'all don't want to have a real conversation. I had a guy say, well, the times were different then. What the fuck does that have to do with this motherfucker mutilating people and shit? I don't want, you know what I mean? Like, if we had to have an actual conversation about history and the true history of our people, your people, your people, your people, a lot of motherfuckers will walk. Black folks will probably be the last motherfuckers in the room.
That is not.
And here's my thing. Like I tell motherfuckers, I said, look, it all goes to this simple fact. When it comes down to it, all your heroes were flawed. You have to admit to that. This country was built on slave owners, bootleggers, and pimps. And it kills me because everybody's saying, what about heritage? What about the Confederacy lasted for 5 years? It's not fucking heritage. Outcast lasted longer than them. Celebrate them.
Hell no.
5 years. It's 5 years. And the Confederate flag is the flag of the traitor. They wanted to fucking. You can't say I love America and you have a Confederate flag.
Do you think there's an American flag waving in fucking Japan? You lost your fucking war. You lost your fucking war. So no, you don't get to wave your fucking flag. Now, as American history, we can have a museum and we can have monuments. Nothing, I wouldn't say monuments, but we can have exhibits and things that can acknowledge, because those men were, and women also were American citizens. We can acknowledge them in that, but to have monuments around this country, to have a flag waving, a treasonous flag waving, fuck no, absolutely not.
And I live
south of the. We would have gave you your money if you won, but you lost. So take your ass home and brush that one too.
I live south of the Mason-Dixon line, and if you go to this beach, they actually have a Confederate monument. And I'm like, why is this here? Like,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
You lost.
I mean,
war.
I mean, you don't see them making documentaries about people that lost the Super Bowl. Or people that lost, the NBA finals. No, so why do we have, losers celebrated throughout the whole country? That don't make
exactly
sense.
And they reenact their losing every year.
That shit to me, man. I think it's. But again, it's an exposure. There's always levels to shit, right? The deeper thing is that's how fucking ignorant people are. Like you trying to connect this flag to some culture or some subculture that like needs to be represented, bro. That flag represents treason
and losing,
and losing. But I mean, at the very forefront, it was a treasonous fucking representation. But you got motherfuckers out here that overlook that part and just say, well, this is our beliefs. Come on, man. And I had a black person actually saying that they were from the South and the Confederate flag was like their home. It was like he said it was a image that reminded him of home. And I said, damn.
Let me tell you two things. So I remember I was in PA. I was outside Pittsburgh, and this motherfucker rolled in with a Confederate flag on their motherfucking car, and they wanted the oil change. I said, I'm not touching that car. White manager. And the other black dude, hold on. And the other black dude was scared, so I said, I'm still not touching that fucking car. And he's like, why? I said, they got a fucking Confederate flag. That doesn't hate, that's heritage. I said, let me tell you something. My family was born in Mississippi. They left Mississippi because of that fucking flag.
Yeah.
People was home looking at that flag. So don't sit here and tell me what the fuck it is. I know what the fuck it is. So then when I stood up, all the other black people was like, yeah, I ain't touching that shit. Yeah, fuck that. We're not doing that shit. So he tries to say, I'm your boss. I said, no, you're not my boss. You're not even my supervisor. You don't sign a fucking check for me. So here's what you can do. Tell that bitch to go to Jiffy Lube, or you can change the oil yourself.
Hell no.
This is fucking ridiculous. I said, you can call it what you want to call it, but don't call me no motherfucking nigga. Do it yourself. And every black person's like, yeah, you know what? He right. I ain't touching that shit. I ain't touching because they wanted to say something. I looked at them in their face and they wanted to say something, but they were scared to say something. And like I told them, I said, look, here's the thing. In my profession, you know what I'm saying, in the automotive field, if I lose this job, guess what I could do? I could find it in 2 weeks. I have another job. So
yeah,
I don't give a fuck.
That's a trade, that's a
I'm not
trade.
doing this car. Tell that bitch, you either do it or tell that bitch to go down the street to Jiffy Lube. I'm never going to, and I didn't understand this until I got older because I used to look at old school wrestling with Ted DiBiase, everybody got a price. I used to think that till I got older. I said, you know what? Everybody doesn't have a price. I'm not selling who the fuck I am. Selling out who I am for a couple bucks, man. Fuck that.
Damn right. And that's what we have to, because to this day, bro, and talking about our leaders, these motherfuckers are still sellouts, bro. Stephen A is one of the most enlightened motherfuckers at the end of it. Like he is like this complex ass individual, right? In my opinion, because I want to support that brother so bad because he is one of the smartest dudes ever. But I know that you are still a puppet for Disney. You're gonna stand right where they want you to because you don't want to fuck your bottom line up.
If I Skip Bayless left his ass.
Talk shit about Skip all you want to, but Skip flat out was like, I'm not finna count out to these motherfuckers.
That's shout out to Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp says what the fuck he want. And you know what I really gain, and I always respected Shannon, but you know what I really gained respect for Shannon Sharp? When Shannon Sharp sat there and he talked about Ray Lewis. He said, we could bring Ray Lewis on the show. And I tell him this to his face. And Ray Lewis came on the show and he said exactly what the fuck he said to Ray Lewis' face. And I said, yeah, that's a man right there. That's a real man right there.
Yeah.
Because people don't understand this cooning shit don't last long. That's why motherfucking, what's that motherfucking name? Jason Whitlock don't have a job with Fox no more. That cooning shit.
Lord Jesus. So like when you go on those type of rants, right? When you become that type of representative, Candace Owens, you have to maintain some type of relevancy, right? It ain't enough for you to be a coon. You have to be a coon with a following. And
shout out to motherfucking what's my man from Outkast? Willie D. Shout out to Willie D.
Willie D. Once you no longer
that ain't Outkast, that's Ghetto Boys, motherfucker.
No, I was trying to say it's Willie D who made that coon song. That was the best song ever.
Listen, when you lose your platform, when you lose your following, you're no longer, valuable to them.
No.
Yeah.
So now there's no country for old hoes. Your ass just out there.
What the fuck is the point of being a coon if you don't have a following? Like publicly.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
You're used to
and she will lose it. Eventually, she will lose that following that she has, and then you're no longer relevant to them. You're no longer useful to them. Yeah. You've already been outcast. You've been ostracized and thrown away by your own people. Good luck to you at that point.
And even regular white people be like, you know what, this shit is too much. This is just, even white people get tired of it. Like, this is too much. I can't listen to this shit.
She do way too much, bro.
Yes, she do.
Way too fucking much.
That's
Candace Owens.
And that's the.
What about Angela Stanton? She don't seem much different.
She'll 15 minutes, man. That's all you get, 15 minutes. What's that bitch name? Omarosa. She got fired and kicked out the White House. Then she wants to sit there and say, "Oh well, Trump was racist." Nah, bitch.
It's too late now. Ain't nobody trying to hit.
And was not racist, girl.
God be, may the Lord be with her, because I'm pretty sure she having a hard time now trying to rebuild relationships and shit because of her rhetoric. But at the end of the day, bro, there's the things that are happening right now in Chicago specifically. The protests that are being, continuously activated, bro. Now's the time for action. You know what I mean? It's so, again, going back to my work experience and applying it, bro, and seeing how it connects directly with everything that's going on right now in the streets and society today. There's, you can motivate people, right? You can speak power to people, but to actually move them to action, oh my God. that is like the most impossible thing. You can encourage this. You can be Malcolm on that podium and get them all fired up and ready. Like, all right, now come on, let's go out here. Man, I gotta go check on my niece. What?
That's that Willie S shit.
We need activism. We need these reverends, these fucking pastors, and we need everybody out there. Shout out to Pastor Chris Harris, who's, definitely stepping up and putting himself out there. We need everybody to take action.
What's that white pastor out there on the south side?
Flager.
Yeah, him. Yo, shout out to him.
Yeah, no doubt.
He been down for a while.
You have to get out here. You have to get out here. You have to step up and do something. It is not enough to just say amongst ourselves, man, yeah, that's fucked up. That shit got to stop, man. I ain't with that shit. Get out here and do something. I don't give a fuck if you just stand on the corner of your block and hold a fucking sign up saying equality now. Do something. Step up and show action. All of this sitting back is not helping nobody.
Exactly. And that's the weird turn that our show, took, because it was like we were just here, just trying to do a podcast, have fun, entertain people, and then all this shit happened, and like everything that we had planned just got turned all the way around us, and we all just had something to fucking say.
Yeah, and look, that's brave. That's bravery. Like, it takes a lot for y'all to do what y'all did, bro. Some people with these same platforms will never address these issues. And big up to all of y'all for doing that, man. A lot of people wouldn't take that risk.
Shit, because I don't know about the rest of them, but it was just like, it just, well, I can speak for them too, because it just became too much. Because we just started covering stuff like this when the Ahmaud stuff happened, and we was talking about that, and then from there it just snowballed into then the George Floyd happened, and then the protests, and then the riots. Like, we literally had to take a moment to step back. We had to, all of it had to take a moment to step back, to just breathe for ourselves, because we felt like this despair and this depression, and we all were just in it, and we were just like, we had to breathe for a second, and we had to come back to it and like put more light. And then the interviews started happening, and we started talking to people that was on the ground in different cities and stuff like that, and just to put the stuff out there. And then I personally got tired, people keep trying to put all the looting on the black people, and like, okay, we don't see all this, especially with that one guy with the bow and arrow that swear it was two black guys that whooped his ass for saying all lives matter. Like, that's the type of shit that I wanted to focus on. Like, look, this is the type of shit that y'all want to throw us under the bus and try to make us like the bad guy. And when we look at this group that whooped your ass, all I saw was white people and maybe a couple of, maybe Mexicans or whatever. but I didn't see no black people over there whooping your ass, dude.
That's the Emmett Till situation right there. I call it an Emmett Till situation right there. When motherfuckers sit there and they try to put it on black people and all that. But I've always spoke out. I don't give a fuck. Like if you fire me, what the fuck ever, I'll get in the job somewhere else. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to the people in this podcast because we're gonna say whatever the fuck we want to say. If you're listening, we're gonna say whatever the fuck we want to say. And I'm gonna stand on everything I fucking say.
Absolutely.
Whatever comes with that, comes with that. But I'm not gonna sit here and bow down and cowtail and fucking try to capitulate to these motherfuckers because no, that's not what I am. I wasn't raised like that. I wasn't born like that. Fuck you. If you don't like what I'm saying, guess what? Flip the channel, but like and subscribe.
Yeah,
real talk.
I lost I've been banned 3 times from Facebook because I've sat there and I made videos and I had thousands of people look at my videos and I said exactly what, and I had white people come to me like, how could you say that? That is wrong. That is hate. So me telling black people to stand up and fight is hate, but you're not addressing, and this is wrong with white people, even if you're not racist. If you're not racist and you hang around racist people and you don't address them, then you're part of the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll call it white silence, right?
Yeah.
Your silence is definitely probably one of the biggest problems, because you reassure, if you don't feel the same way that this person feels, this white man said, fuck all these niggas, blah, 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 blah at work. And because you never corrected him, he feels that you feel the same way. Now he's empowered to say it some more and feel it a little bit more. Your silence is what kills everything. It's not enough. This statement been thrown out there a million times. It's not enough to be, not racist. You have to be anti-racist. That's what we are right now in society. It ain't good enough for you to just be like, well, I'm not like him. No, if you know that he's like that, you have to cut him off. Be done with him, or be done with me as a black man. I cannot be friends with you if you have friends that are racist.
And don't just, all these white women out here, don't just say Black Lives Matter because you like fucking black guys. Don't say Black Lives Matter because it actually matters. We're not just fucking sex objects. Shout out to my man's Jay. So he was a white dude. He's born in the hood. I'm not gonna say the shop, but he was at a shop. And this white guy comes in and he's like, can I use the phone? And my man's Tay, he ain't hear him. He's like, can I use the phone, nigger? So my man Tay said, what the fuck you say? My man said, hold on. He's the manager of the shop. It's a white dude. He said, hold on. He said, we had a little guy that worked there, a little white guy. He's like, Bernie, go to the back and lock the door behind you. So he goes to the back, he locks the door. He said, what the fuck you say? Man, he beat dude ass. We ain't had to jump in. He whooped that dude ass so bad, we had to stop him. He's like, yo, hold on, man. That's a little too far, man. But that's the type of people that you need.
Yeah, and you have to understand, and this is for anybody that may be listening that has, opposite views and opinions. If you're in this country, the best way it was ever explained to me, if you're in this country and you feel that black people and people of color fighting for equality, right? We're fighting. Our fight is for equality, to be treated the same way as every fucking body else. If you feel that you are a superior race and you feel that no, black people shouldn't be given the same privileges as me because I am white, you are in the wrong fucking country and you should probably fucking leave. That's where we at. Right. Because at the end of the day,
what is it? Plain and simple, you either with us or against us. Right.
That's right, Fitzgerald.
That's as plain and simple as it get. And I know,
like, honestly, you are in the wrong country. This country's basic fucking beliefs are all men are created equal, right? That's what y'all wrote. Well, if we're holding this country true to its fucking contract, basically, with its citizens, then anybody that feels opposite of that is in the wrong fucking country.
Shout out to George Carlin.
Perfect fucking human being. George Carlin, rest his soul, man. That's
He said
bitch
all
at it
people.
right.
He said all people are created equal except for blacks, Indians, and fucking women. He's like, when they was writing that, it was slaves in the background. He's like, all men are created equal except for y'all. Like George
That
Carlin is like the perfect white guy.
that dude is literally probably one of the most
And he was so
exceptional
ahead of
fucking
his time.
comedians. Yeah,
He was so ahead of
absolutely.
his time. He
But
comes from the branch of Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor, Dave Chappelle. And that's why when people ask me who's the funniest person, I think right now, I'm gonna say Dave Chappelle. I'm gonna say fucking Cat Williams. The reason why I'm not going to say like fucking Kevin Hart is because Kevin Hart been dodging this subject for so long. He said something now, but he said
I
something
think
when you say something now. It's too like I don't think it's. I won't say it's too late, but you've been seeing this shit going for a while, and you just didn't want to say nothing because you
but
didn't want to lose.
that's what they
You
do
know
is
what?
it's called heat check, right? They want to see who's going to get like, all right, let me see who's going to jump out there and let me see what type of backlash they get before I say something.
Because Dave Chappelle said his shit. He just did a special about it, and that special was dope. And he talked about it, and that's why I always think that Dave Chappelle is always going to be the funniest man in America right now at this point.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for Chris.
Because
I'm waiting for Chris Rock.
He speaks observation.
That's
I'm waiting for Chris Rock
like,
too. I can't
Chris
wait for
Rock
his
is
shit to
probably
come on.
still my favorite comedian.
But here's the thing, they're observation humor.
Mm-hmm.
Like they observe what's going on and they speak. Like
I
Dave
guess
Chappelle
that's
go
what
on
I like.
stage with no material, and he'll fucking sell out with no material.
D.L. Hughley
Like I
can
got
do that.
tired of hearing Kevin Hart because Kevin Hart kept talking about the same shit. Oh, I'm short. My wife beat me up. My kids are scared, and I'm like, but what? You're a comedian. You're supposed to talk about what's happening right now. Like Dave Chappelle was never scared to talk about what's happening right now. Even and I want Chris Rock. Even D.L. Hughley. D.L. Hughley. Shout out to D.L. Hughley, man, because D.L. Hughley been covering this shit for a while, and he been talking about some real shit. Even though he got into it with what's that coon ass motherfucker? Terry Crews, who keep flipping sides.
yeah.
Have y'all been black checked by anybody black yet?
Say that again.
Have you been black checked?
Black
what is
check?
that?
What
I'm
does
gonna
that
tell
mean?
you what a black check is. See, I talked to Chris the other day, and in the background, I heard Lisa talking. And Lisa's very first question after Chris said who he was on the phone with was, "What side is he on?" That's a black check.
Oh no, I've never been black checked. They already knew. When I open my mouth, they know what side I'm on.
I'm like, damn. I mean, was it even like, damn?
And then again, that's kind of like because you have so many people out here that are saying, you again, black people that are out here kind of like trying to smear black organizations and all. You have to identify. Again, every white motherfucker ain't against you, and every black motherfucker ain't for you.
All your skin folk ain't your kin folk.
Yeah, you have to be clear because you got a lot of yes sir, yes master. Okay, you got a lot of house niggas out here still to this day.
And what kills me about that situation is even if like this is what I understand. Like, okay, Dave Chappelle dated a Chinese girl, whatever, and then he married a Chinese woman or Asian woman, I don't know where she's from. And then you got this person married to black, and they're like, well, he married to the enemy. No, it ain't like that. I don't give a fuck who I'm married to. When the cops stop me, my wife, they see me.
Exactly. And secondly, why does that even matter? Let's be clear. My daughter's mother is white.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like my daughter, that ain't got nothing to do with who I am.
Exactly. Or what you experienced.
And what I experienced as a black man in this country. Who I loved at that time was who I loved. And who I continue to love is who I love. That has nothing. This is not about, this idea of separatism and segregation. Like, it's not about that. It's about acknowledging that we are all one fucking people.
Yeah.
We are all coming together and we are all saying we should all be treated the same. Equal as fuck around the board.
I don't know about Ken, but I know the rest of us have dated outside of our race, like, continuously. You know what I'm saying? On and off and shit like that. And, I mean, anytime these type of situations come up, yeah, they do go out to people that's dating outside of their race. They do. Because that becomes a thing. I know the girl I'm with now, she look white, but she's not. She's Mexican. But she has a white appearance because of where she's from in Mexico. She's from Guadalajara. So it's like at first glance, it's like even Ronnie said it, he was like the white girl. It's like, no, she's not white. You know what I'm saying? I was like, no. But that's the vision. It's like, oh yeah, he went out and got a white girl, and then that's the way they look at most black men that see with white girls. Oh, he went out and got a white girl, and then they come up with all of their own reasons, which has nothing to do with anything for the most part.
When he get on, he leave your ass for a white girl.
Right. But it's like at the end of the day, who the fuck I'm dating does not make a difference from my experiences, where I grew up, and what I'm going through at the time.
Yeah, I never really dated outside the relationship. I mean, I never really dated outside of my race or whatever. But I had a lot of relations with people outside of my race. Just never really dated anybody. It never came to that because I was never the guy that looked for a relationship. Relationships just happened, but with me dealing with a certain girl, and it just never happened with anybody outside of my race.
They got a saying outside. They got a saying in PA. You got Pittsburgh on one side, Philly on the other side, and Alabama in between. So I remember I was dating this. I was in school. I was dating this white girl, and we got into an argument. And I told her, we was walking down the street. I told her, I said, "Yo," I said, "Stop." She's like, "Why?" I said, "Because they're gonna see you upset. They're gonna see you crying. They're gonna see a black guy behind you. They're gonna think some other shit. So stop." And she's like, and she just stopped, and she got stiff. She's like, "Oh my God." It's like, "That's true. I see what you're saying." I'm like, "Yes." So you can't do that shit around me. You can argue with white guys. You can't argue with me. Like, if you see this, like, all this shit, and I tell, it's any color though, but I tell any female that I'm dating, all this shit, when we got beef, is in-house.
Yeah, I don't argue with people in public, period.
You don't take this shit outside. And I had a lot of females like, well, how do you go to work and you just forget? Well, it ain't the fact. That ain't the fact. When I go to work, all my shit is left at the door. Just how it's supposed to go. Like, we have an argument, we can fix that shit when I get home. But like, if I'm walking out in public and they see you crying and they see me walking behind you, the first thing they're gonna do is snatch my black ass up. She's like, "Yeah, you're right. I see that." So like, people see that shit. Like, they don't want to admit to it, but they see that shit.
Yeah,
they don't want to see the disparity, but they until you say something about it.
Yeah.
And then you got to go out of your way to prove that that's not the situation.
That is crazy.
What the fucking shit.
I know everybody been having, a great time with this conversation. We can hear you now. You here?
Yeah, I got kicked out for some reason.
Oh, okay. But yeah. Yeah.
I get kicked out all the time.
Yeah. Because don't nobody like you. But anyway, I know.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because you were fucking her and no one likes you.
I mean, all right. I know this has been a great conversation. We'll fuck around and be in this bitch for like 5 hours talking.
Well, we prepared because I actually told Chris that this was going to
we still going to talk after this shit. When this shit is over, we still going to talk. Y'all going to get the clips.
Yeah. So, with all that being said, I mean, we're going to get on up out of here. We're going to end this show. Local hero, shout out all your contacts.
Oh man, local hero. You can find me on YouTube at The Gentleman. You can find me on IG as The Gentleman. You can find us, of course, on fucking YouTube. You're looking at the shit right now. Like, share, subscribe. You can also find us on IG, The Ledge 2020. You can find us in The Ledge fan page. You can find us in The Ledge page. Just go ahead and join. Say what's up. If you're racist, say what's up. Send me an email, and then send me your location. Either one. I don't give a fuck. I ain't doing nothing with my life. Let us know what's happening.
Okay.
I got time. I got time today.
They almost over with though.
I got time tomorrow and the next day after that. You'll be surprised how many motherfucking racist motherfuckers hit me up. You'll be surprised.
G-Way, you got any contacts for the people as of yet?
Yeah, I mean, you can catch me hanging off the edge of the ledge.
Well, where's that ledge at?
On these nuts.
Okay, anyway. to our special guest, Christian Dior. Thanks for coming on to the show and sharing your perspective on the events and things that's happening, that has happened, and that will and should happen.
Yeah, man. Thank y'all for having me, bro. I just want to, if I can, close out for myself with this quote. A man is made by his beliefs. As he believes, so he becomes.
That's the words of the great Christian Dior. Any you have any contacts you want to shout out?
Honestly, not at all. Okay. I want to keep it low key. Y'all, those that know me know how to get in touch with me, man. It ain't about me, it's about us.
I hear that.
You tell it G homie. That's G homie. You don't get no fucking direct shit. That's G homie.
I see you when I see you.
That's G man's for real.
All right. With that being said, we got to close this show out. I am your host, Ken Bro. You can catch me on Twitter and Instagram at KenBro_TOC. You check me out on YouTube on Broken TV. And we out this bitch. Peace.
Catch your motherfuckers.